Chapter 784. The next day, the boss of Glittering Jewels Pavilion, Wan Heyin, warmly invited Yi Wanwan and the others over for a meal. The news of Glittering Jewels Pavilion producing an imperial jade had spread across the entire industry, and their reputation improved dramatically. On the other hand, Huangshi Xian was fighting with Hou Maofeng because if it wasn't for Hou Maofeng stopping him, Huangshi Xian would have been the one who bought that batch of stones from Wan Heyin instead. Wan Heyin used all the money he earned from Yi Wanwan to buy raw stones, and within just 2 days, everything was sold out. His luck really improved. This batch of raw stones produced decent results, and Glittering Jewels Pavilion was no longer known as the Jinx Workshop anymore. Miss Yi, if it wasn't for you, my Glittering Jewels Pavilion would probably have closed down. I must give you a toast. Wan Heyin raised his glass and spoke gratefully. Boss Wan, you're too kind. I can't really drink, but I can use tea instead. I wish you lots of prosperous business. Thank you. Thank you for your blessing. Wang Hu, who was at the side, laughed. Ever since Miss Yi got the Imperial Jade from our store, our luck has really changed. Miss Yi, you've brought good luck and fortune to us. Once they were done with the meal, everyone returned to the hotel. Yi Wanwan arrived at the suite to bid farewell to the group of 5. While they were speaking, a familiar ringing resounded. It was a video call. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Captain Nia, aren't you going to answer the call? Nameless Nia's face turned pale. He grabbed his hair and went in circles around the room. Damn, what's going on? The frequency isn't right. Didn't the little devil call the day before? Why is he calling again? The other 4 people looked at one another, then shrunk to a corner and pretended like they didn't exist. Nameless Nia was in a prayer position before he answered the call. After that, he said in a single breath, I haven't found your father and mother, but your uncle, I will definitely find them before the deadline. Otherwise, I will castrate myself. Why are you so nervous? I just wanted to take a look at you. The little devil's indifferent voice came through the receiver. Nameless Nia swallowed. Wanted to take a look at me? Why does he sound so darn terrifying? Are you alone? The little devil glanced behind him. No, the others are here too. Nameless Nia was in a slight daze. And the little devil nodded expressionlessly. He then asked, have you had dinner? Nameless Nia was so frightened that he nearly tossed his phone away. The little devil actually cares about my well-being? Shit. What does this little ancestor want? Nameless Nia didn't have a choice and didn't dare to hang up either, so he replied, Why, yes. I've eaten ancestor. Is anything the matter? Can't I chat with you? That little devil pursed his lips and looked extremely frosty. How does this even look like he wants to have a chat? Little devil's way of torturing people has changed again? Nameless Nia was going nuts from the torture. Sure. I don't want to chat with you at all right? Seeing that Nameless Nia still hadn't hung up after some time, Yi Wanwan coughed lightly and went to open the door. Captain Nia, if there's nothing else, I'll get going first. Nameless Nia hurriedly said. Oh, all right. When Nameless Nia spoke to Yi Wanwan, his phone shifted a bit, and the little devil caught a glimpse of Yi Wanwan on the video call. After Yi Wanwan left, Nameless Nia resumed his conversation with the little devil. Shall we continue chatting? The little devil looked at his uncle in disdain like he was looking at a mayfly. Until you find my parents, what's there to chat about? With that said, he ended the call. Nameless Nia was stupefied. Chapter 785. Late at night, Shueli was on a video call with Qin Ruoshi. Sorry, Director Qin, I've failed. At first, they thought that even if Yi Wanwan took credit for this Myanmar trip, she still wouldn't be able to get a solid footing in the company. Little did they know that the goods handpicked by Qin Ruoshi would turn up empty, and those rubbish raw stones that the other woman bought actually contained a top-grade imperial jade. Now the entire company was in an uproar about this. They were saying that if Qin Ruoshi went on the trip after all, or if they bought the goods Qin Ruoshi picked out, they definitely would have lost a fortune. Although everyone knew that gambling on stones depended on 70% luck, the woman was able to gain a little footing in the company through this project. It was a complete disaster. Damn it, how could that woman be so lucky? Yuan Sheng gritted his teeth. Shueli's face darkened. The days are still long. I don't believe she'll be so lucky every time. The calm and composed Qin Ruoxi was now slightly ruffled. Yuan Sheng's eyes shifted as he leaned closer. Cough, Miss Ruoxi, I don't know if I should say this. Qin Ruoxi, speak. Yuan Sheng said. Actually, no matter how aloof Ninth Master is, you're so much better than that vixen in every aspect, Miss Ruoxi. Who is she to steal Ninth Master's favor? She's only great at striving for love and seducing people, right? So, Qin Ruoxi's lips curled into a sinister smile. So you mean you want me to be like that woman, curry favor with the Ninth Master and strive for love? Shueli immediately raged. Outrageous. Yuan Sheng, what sort of person do you think Miss Ruoxi is? A messy woman who fools around, huh? Yuan Sheng panicked and hurriedly explained. No. How could I think of her that way? Miss Ruoxi is the future mistress of the household. How could she compare to those messy women outside? I was just worried that the vixen would come between Miss Ruoxi and Ninth Master, and fall out of favor. Shueli was enraged. Even if that woman is favored, she's just a plaything who uses her looks to seduce people. Alright, that's enough. I know what to do. Qin Ruoxi interrupted the two of them and looked at Shueli. Just give Audio whatever he likes. Do you still need me to teach you that, huh? Shueli's eyes lit up and he hurriedly said, I got it. The next day, at the airport. Last night, Nameless Nia was frightened out of his wits by that strange video call from the little devil, and couldn't sleep the entire night. Right before they parted ways, he grabbed Yi Wanwan and begged for help. Famous Yi, my life is in your hands. You promised to help me. Yi Wanwan didn't realize he was actually serious. However, judging by how he was acting, it wasn't nice for her to reject him. After all, they did help her a lot this time. It's equivalent to placating a child. It doesn't mean anything, right? Yi Wanwan said helplessly. I have to make this clear first. I have no idea how to take care of a child. Nameless Nia immediately said. No problem, no problem. This kid is very easy to take care of. Devotee. Captain, I think you can't conduct yourself this way. It's not morally right. Spray of flowers. Cough, even I think you're talking bullshit. Brick-moving foreigner. Easy to take care? Is there something wrong with my understanding of Chinese? Iceberg Man. Chapter 786. Move aside. Move aside. Nameless Nia chased them away. Famous Yi, don't listen to their nonsense. It's just a child. How difficult could it be? Yi Wanwan thought about the little boy's porcelain little face from the video call. How long do I have to pretend for? Once Nameless Nia heard Yi Wanwan was agreeing to it, he was beyond emotional. He was in tears as he said, this is just a stalling tactic to gain more time to find his parents. You can stop once I find them. What if you can't find them? I can't pretend forever, right? How could that be? Famous Yi, don't you believe in my abilities? If I really can't find them, I'll just tell him I mistook you for my sister, and you'll be able to leave, right? Nameless Nia hurriedly said. Yi Wanwan. Why does that sound so unreliable? And there's something else. Nameless Nia said. What? Yi Wanwan had a bad feeling about this. Nameless Nia. We're missing a father here. Yi Wanwan. Nameless Nia. Famous Yi. Help a person all the way. Yi Wanwan. I can pretend to be your nephew's mother, but as for the father, you have to wait for my news. I already told you before that I have to go back and discuss things with my boyfriend first. Nameless Nia nodded continuously. Sure, no problem. I'll wait for your good news. After their discussion, Yi Wanwan and Nameless Nia parted ways. The moment she started walking, her phone rang. Seeing that Yi Mufan's name was on the caller ID, Yi Wanwan's expression turned gentle as she answered the call. Hello, Ji? Behind her, Nameless Nia stopped in his tracks when he heard Ji. When will I be able to hear my own sister calling me Ji? Wanwan, are you done having fun? Lately, there's been lots of movement over at Chu Hongguang's side and Gong Su took advantage of the fact that you're away to fool around. Do you even care anymore? Also, did you forget we have to go over to Grandpa and Grandma's this month? I've already picked out a gift for them. When exactly are you coming back? The second Yi Wanwan answered the call, Yi Mu-fan's whines came through the receiver instantly. Yi Wanwan listened helplessly as Yi Mu-fan rambled on. Stop chasing me. I'm already at the airport, okay? Tisk, did you have fun? Yi Mu-fan snorted. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Not too bad. I had a pretty good time. Yi Mu-fan's voice immediately turned a notch louder. Did that guy take advantage of you? Yi Wanwan. I'll give you a chance to rephrase your question. Yi Mu-fan. Did you take advantage of him? Yi Wanwan. He's a decent man, very reserved, as if he would simply let me take advantage of him. Yi Mu-fan was enraged when he heard that. Damn. Who does he think he is, huh? Who is he to be so difficult? My sister is great in every way. How dare he not allow you to take advantage of him? Yi Wanwan. So what do you want exactly? Do you want me to take advantage of him or not? Yi Mu-fan. Yi Mu-fan didn't know how to answer this question. A few hours later, the plane arrived at Imperial City Airport. In order to give Si Yi-han a surprise, Yi Wanwan lied to him and told him she would only arrive in the middle of the night when actually, she had booked an earlier flight on purpose. Gentlemen, thank you for your hard work. We will be parting ways here. I'd like to head back to Jean Garden to give Chairman Si a report of the situation. Thanks for your efforts, Miss Yi, the Jade expert said. This trip altered the attitudes of these three people towards Yi Wanwan. Behind her, Shueli watched as Yi Wanwan left and silently made a phone call. Yi Wanwan is going back to Jean Garden. Yes, you may head over now. Chapter 787. On the way to Jean Garden, Yi Wanwan suddenly received a text message. It was from Si Xia, who hadn't contacted her for quite some time. Friendly reminder. You've turned green. What does that even mean? I think I'm quite red one now. Yi Wanwan had a suspicious look and replied. What do you mean? Si Xia. The literal meaning. Yi Wanwan. What the hell? Si Xia didn't reply anymore. Yi Wanwan didn't think much about it and returned to Jean Garden. Late at night, Jean Garden. Sui thought it was excessively demanding that someone from the subsidiary company actually delivered an urgent project proposal to him. This was quite normal and wasn't out of the ordinary. Ninth Master mentioned that the proposal must be sent to him immediately once it was completed, no matter what the time was. But the problem was that the person delivering that proposal was slightly unusual. The secretary looked great and had a fantastic figure. As it was already after office hours, she was in a more casual outfit. Her style of dress and mannerisms were extremely similar to Yi Wanwan's. She even looked similar in appearance. Is this going to stir up trouble? Sui thought about it and realized what was going on. Ever since Ninth Master became the head of the household, many tried to push women onto him. However, due to Ninth Master's irritable temper and hatred for women getting close to him, everyone gave up in the end. Since Miss Wanwan had been taking care of his health lately, Ninth Master's temperament became gentler. Plus, with Miss Wanwan around, the rumors about Ninth Master not liking women were gone, and some people had started making moves. Sui thought about it while he glanced into the study behind him. This time, those people were giving it their all. He really had to hand it to them for being able to find someone like this. They thought Ninth Master fancied this sort of woman, so they attempted to find someone similar to Miss Wanwan to push her out. I'm back. Suddenly, Yi Wanwan's voice came from the stairs and Sui, who was still deep in thought, was frightened out of his wits. Shit. What's going on? Isn't Miss Wanwan on a night flight? Why's she back now? Sui was panicking as Yi Wanwan made her way upstairs and walked in the direction of the study. The girl was dressed in a striking dark red dress. She was wearing a pair of white strappy heels and had a diamante milky white woolen coat over her shoulders. The soft curls of her hair draped over her shoulders lazily, and she looked extremely sweet and captivating. Although that woman in the house was dressed exactly like Yi Wanwan, after seeing Yi Wanwan, Sui then realized what the difference was. If Yi Wanwan was said to be a rose with a dewdrop under the moonlight, this woman was a fake flower made of plastic. Housekeeper Su, where's Agio? Sui saw that Yi Wanwan had already made her way to the door of the study. He started sweating profusely and hurriedly tried to remediate the situation for his master. Ninth Master is inside dealing with some business matters. Miss Wanwan, you've had a long journey. Why don't you go to the garden for a cup of tea and wait a little while? Oh, he's busy. Yi Wanwan seemed a little sad and she asked, why do I have to go to the garden for tea? Obviously, it was because he was afraid Miss Wanwan would see something she shouldn't see if she entered the study. Even though Master is blind. What if that woman tries something, huh? How could it be such a coincidence? That woman just entered and Miss Wanwan arrived almost right after. Chapter 788. Been cheated on. Sui racked his brains for an excuse. Because the sunflowers in the garden are growing really well. They've started producing seeds. You can sip on some tea while admiring the beautiful blooms. But I miss your master. I'll just wait here. How much longer will he be? Yi Wanwan asked. Sui nearly broke down in tears. I'm not too sure about that. He'll probably take a long time. So Miss Wanwan, you'd better take a seat and rest. At first, Suyi's words didn't sound suspicious, but Yi Wanwan suddenly recalled the text message from Xia. Sui, are you hiding something from me? Yi Wanwan asked. Sui, no. Seeing how Sui denied it so quickly, Yi Wanwan's eyes narrowed. What's in there? Yi Wanwan's gaze was simply too intense. Sui felt like he couldn't handle it anymore. There's nothing. Nothing at all. Yi Wanwan chuckled. TSK, don't tell me there's a woman inside, eh? Suyi's heart skipped a beat and he immediately said, how could there be a woman? No. What I mean is that the person reporting on the proposal inside is, in fact, a woman, but it's definitely not what you think. Yi Wanwan. Oh? Why don't you tell me what I'm thinking? Sui, I'm dead. Why is this getting more and more out of hand? So Xia said I'm green. It means I've been cheated on? Yi Wanwan swept her gaze across Sui. Move. Sui hurriedly explained. Miss Wanwan, please don't misunderstand. That woman inside does have a little problem, but I'm afraid you'll misunderstand when you see her, so I tried stopping you just now. But you should trust that ninth master would never do that sort of thing. Yi Wanwan said casually. I won't misunderstand anything. I just wanted you to make way. Why are you so nervous? Really? Seeing that Yi Wanwan didn't look angry, Sui moved aside hesitantly. In the next second, bang, the door of the study was kicked open by Yi Wanwan. Sui, didn't she say she wouldn't misunderstand? Sui was dumbstruck as he watched Miss Wanwan kicking open the door in her floral dress and high heels. The door toppled over with a loud crash, then she simply stepped over the door on the floor and entered slowly. After the door was kicked down, Yi Wanwan immediately saw the situation in the study. Si Yihan was behind the desk looking through a thick stack of documents. If one took a closer look, they would see that he seemed quite distracted and he would glance at the wall from time to time. A sweet and adorable girl stood a couple steps away in front of the desk and was reporting something to Si Yihan in a gentle voice. The girl's style of dress and makeup were very similar to hers. Even her stature and mannerisms were almost identical to hers. Yi Wanwan's expression changed when she saw that girl. After hearing the loud crash, the girl screamed in shock. Get out. Yi Wanwan didn't even take a glance at the girl. After she tossed out those two words, her eyes turned to Si Yihan directly. Chairman, see this. The frightened girl looked at Si Yihan resentful. From the door, Sui hurriedly made hints to the girl. Secretary Lin, why are you still standing there? Hurry and come out. Assistant Yi has something to tell ninth master. The woman didn't have a choice and reluctantly left. The moment Si Yihan saw Yi Wanwan, his stone-cold eyes glistened in an instant like stars falling from the galaxy, and they were fixated on her. You're back. Yi Wanwan. There's something wrong with this guy's reaction, right? Chapter 789. Since when did I seduce him? I entered by kicking the door down, okay. Yet he's still so calm and composed. Doesn't he know that I'm fuming? Weren't you going to arrive later tonight? Si Yihan asked. Yi Wanwan strode towards Si Yihan and slammed the table. What? Are you disappointed that I came back earlier and ruined your night, huh? Si Yihan was confused. What? Yi Wanwan raged in anger. Stop pretending. That woman, who offered that tribute to you. It's so late. You must have had a great time chatting with her, right? Si Yihan's eyes turned gloomy. Woman. When Yi Wanwan saw that he was still feigning ignorance, she nearly exploded. That's right, that female secretary. From her style of dress to her makeup and hairstyle, she looks almost identical to me. Even the way she acts is identical. She's obviously imitating me on purpose. Don't tell me you couldn't tell that someone brought this woman here intentionally as a tribute to you. Si Han replied directly, nope. Yi Wanwan nearly choked from anger, and she slammed the table once again. Liar! That woman was speaking so coyly. What about those little coquettish glances she gave you? How could you not know she was seducing you? Si Han stared plainly at Yi Wanwan for a few seconds. The girl was furious. Her cheeks were red and it was as if there was a furnace burning in her eyes. Her gaze was bright and emotional, and he was shaken to his core by her beauty. What stirred his heart most was that she's getting mad at this. Under Yi Wanwan's fuming gaze, Si Han slowly reached out and grabbed the back of her head, then kissed her on the lips. From getting kissed all of a sudden, Yi Wanwan blinked and went blank. She pushed him away angrily but failed and was still locked in his embrace. Hey, I'm mad, alright. Could you take this more seriously? Si Han's pupils darkened and in the next second, he kissed her soft red lips again, and his voice was muffled between her teeth. You seduced me. The moment he touched the girl's lips, he seemed to have found a place where he belonged, and was immediately appeased after all those days of longing for her. Yi Wanwan. What? Since when did I seduce him? How does this man's brain work, huh? He actually counterattacked. She hadn't seen him for many days. His coolness and nonchalance turned into nothingness, and his kiss became more intense, like a blazing ball of fire about to exhaust her completely. Yi Wanwan was almost enchanted by his beauty. She finally regained her senses after a long time and straightened up before she continued complaining. Don't you dare give me that honey trap. I went on a work trip and worked so hard, yet you actually cheated on me. How could you face me like this? I didn't notice what she was wearing, how she acted or how she looked, Si Han said. Yi Wanwan wanted to say, are you blind? But Si Han continued after a pause. I was thinking of you. Yi Wanwan. Where did this sudden bout of sweet nothings come from? This excuse is pretty bullshit, but judging by Si Han's EQ, it might actually be true, eh? So the person who sent that secretary spent so much effort to find someone like this, but in the end, Si Han didn't even care about how she looks? After thinking it through, Yi Wanwan thought it was quite believable. Alright, I'll believe you just this once. Yi Wanwan coughed lightly and warned him sternly. If you dare to find another woman behind my back, I'll bring an illegitimate child back. Chapter 790. Liking you more. Sui was worried that something would happen inside. He hurriedly chased the little secretary away, then stood by the door and eavesdropped. Then he heard that hair-raising phrase. If you dare to find another woman behind my back, I'll bring an illegitimate child back. Sui pictured that in his head for a moment. That's too terrifying. I'd better deal with that secretary immediately. Why are you back so soon? How did it go? Shueli asked the little secretary, who came back within the hour. The little secretary replied excitedly. It went very smoothly. Ninth Master wasn't as scary as I thought, and directly allowed me in to make my report. He was also very gentle with me, but unfortunately, I was only inside for a while before that woman came back. Deputy Director Shui, you know what happened? That woman actually kicked the door down and entered. I've never met such a boorish woman in my life. She's just like a savage. I was wondering how tolerant she would be, but she couldn't contain her anger at all. She's definitely making a big fuss with Ninth Master right now. I know men very well. They hate those uncouth, violent and unreasonable women. Especially for someone like Ninth Master. That woman won't live so comfortably anymore for sure. Hearing how confident the little secretary sounded, Shueli calmed down. If you've really won the favor of Ninth Master, I'll double the benefits I promised you before. The little secretary lit up instantly, and felt a hint of disdain in her heart. When I gain the favor of Ninth Master, what's that little bit of benefit to me? Tiske. The little secretary was fantasizing about them together in her head, when Shueli's phone suddenly rang. The person on the other end said something and Shueli's face instantly turned gloomy. After some time, Shueli hung up the phone and turned to the little secretary with a darkened expression. This is your definition of smooth. Upon seeing Shueli's gloomy expression, the little secretary's delighted smile froze on her face and she asked carefully. Deputy Director Shui, what happened? Shueli, you're fired. That's impossible. At the same time, a certain great devil was looking at the boorish, violent and unreasonable girl before him with flames in his eyes. Yi Wanwan, who kicked up a fuss because she was mad, was simply the most seductive to him. Where's my cake? I'll bring it to you later. Why later? Because I want to enjoy the way you look for a little while longer. Certainly, after some time, Si Han brought the cake out, and Yi Wanwan's anger vanished immediately like the clouds. A hint of helplessness flashed across Si Han's brows. Yummy! Yi Wanwan took a bite and her eyes glistened. Si Han watched as she ate like a little squirrel and he asked, why do you want to eat this all of a sudden? Yi Wanwan took a big bite before she said, I don't know. I really hated almonds in the past and I don't know what happened, but I've been craving them badly lately. She remembered Si Xia liked this cake. While they were in school, many girls gave him almond cakes. I see. Si Han's eyes lit up slightly, a secret hidden within. After a moment of silence, Si Han looked intently at the girl's dazzling little face becoming more and more attractive like a butterfly coming out of its cocoon. He asked, any other changes in your taste, hobbies and habits? Yi Wanwan thought about it. Taste, hobbies and habits? I didn't really pay much attention to them. Si Han looked very serious. Think carefully. Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin, blinked and thought about it very carefully. I'm starting to like you more. Does this count? Si Han. In. Chapter 791. Knocked into someone? As Yi Wanwan was away for quite a long time. Her work had piled up at Dazzling so she didn't stay over. It was already very late at night when she left Jean Garden. Not long after she reached the garage, Yi Wanwan scanned the area instinctively. Very soon, Yi Wanwan frowned. She wasn't sure why she felt somewhat uneasy like there was someone staring at her in the dark. Yi Wanwan shrugged it off, and thought she was simply too tired from the past few days. She opened the car door and drove away. On the way back to the apartment, Yi Wanwan opened the car windows and tried her best to keep herself awake. It was late at night. The crescent moon hung high in the sky and with the night wind blowing gently, she felt pretty relaxed and content. Not long after, the car slowed down. Yi Wanwan frowned as she read the road sign ahead with a throbbing headache. There was road work ahead and cars weren't allowed to pass. Yi Wanwan didn't have a choice but to make a U-turn and drive on the lane on the left side. The road conditions weren't too bad, and there weren't many cars coming in her direction. Yi Wanwan turned on the music and stepped on the accelerator. She disappeared within seconds. Swish. Suddenly, a shadow flashed past Yi Wanwan's eyes. Yi Wanwan didn't have any idea what happened. She only heard a loud bang and felt a violent impact. Yi Wanwan slammed on the brakes almost instinctively. The car drifted slightly and left black skid marks about 10 meters long. At this moment, Yi Wanwan sat in the driver's seat with her heart thumping. She seemed to have seen a shadow flash by just now. Then she knocked into something. Accident? Yi Wanwan hadn't fully returned to her senses. She didn't slow down at all, and with that speed and impact just now, even someone with a copper head and iron skull would have definitely been crushed. After 10 seconds later, Yi Wanwan hurriedly opened the door and stepped out of the car. Her two headlights were still flickering and illuminating the path ahead, but Yi Wanwan couldn't see the pedestrian she knocked into. At this moment, Yi Wanwan realized the front of her car was dented from the violent impact, and she also saw how strong the impact was. I'm doomed. Yi Wanwan panicked and looked around anxiously. Yi Wanwan searched all around, yet she couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. Yi Wanwan walked to the front of the car swiftly and turned on her phone flashlight. She bent over and looked under the car carefully. Yi Wanwan didn't dare to open her eyes. She was afraid she would find a dismembered corpse under her car. However, there was nothing at all save for a little gas leakage. Yi Wanwan straightened up and was perturbed. Could it be that I didn't hit a person just now? But thinking about it again, Yi Wanwan felt something was off. There was nothing at all, and the car couldn't have knocked into air. Furthermore, even if she knocked into a dog or cat, it wouldn't have dented the car so badly. And if she had really knocked into a cat or dog, it should leave a corpse at least. Could it be that I knocked into a lion or tiger? Yuanwan scanned her surroundings. Although she was in the suburbs and there shouldn't be wild animals scuttling around for her to knock into, right? Yuanwan looked at the dent carefully. Judging by the shape of this dent, it was definitely a human she knocked into. Also, Yuanwan saw a few strands of white hair. They probably belonged to an elder. Chapter 792. A moving corpse? Yuanwan shivered. A hint of fear appeared in her eyes, and she started thinking about that horror movie she watched before. Could it be that it was a ghost? It can't be, right? Yuanwan felt a gust of cold wind blowing against her back and she shuddered. With the speed of a 100-meter sprint, Yuanwan hurriedly opened the car door and sat in the car. After she tried her best to calm down, Yuanwan took out her phone and initially thought of calling Si Han, but she was afraid he would worry. As she gave it a second thought, she thought she'd better hand it over to the police to handle. What's the number of the traffic police, huh? Yuanwan raised her head and mumbled to herself. The traffic police number should be 110. All of a sudden, a sweet and gentle voice rang out in the car. 110 is the number for the Ministry of Public Security. I think the traffic police number should be. Before Yuanwan completed her sentence, her eyes instantly constricted. If it wasn't for the limited space in the car, she would have already jumped. Beads of cold sweat ran down Yuanwan's forehead. From the rearview mirror, Yuanwan realized there was a young man sitting in the back. She hadn't even noticed when he entered. The man had snow-white hair that touched his waist, delicate features, and below his brows was a pair of radiant eyes that seemed capable of capturing one's soul. His face was like a piece of jade and his eyes were like the stars. He was sitting there silently, yet he looked so elegant. His pair of elegant eyes landed on Yuanwan, and he gave a faint smile. This man seemed to have walked out from a picture. He had a mysterious aura around him, and he seemed to be able to suck one's soul in, leaving one unable to resist him. However, Yuanwan wasn't in a state to admire him at all. She looked at the man in the back like she had just seen a ghost. "Miss, you knocked into me just now." The man broke the silence and he chuckled softly as he looked at Yuanwan with that pair of eyes that could draw one's soul out. After he was done speaking, he leaned forward and got closer to Yuanwan. However, at this moment, Yuanwan used all her strength and punched the guy's flawless face almost instinctively. Currently, Yuanwan's mind was in a whirl. She had just gotten into an accident and crashed into someone at full speed. Logically speaking, for a normal adult, they probably would have been crushed to pieces after being knocked with that impact. Yet this man didn't even have a scratch on him. Only 3 words echoed in Yuanwan's head. A moving corpse. Yuanwan wanted to open the car door and escape, but that man actually held her back. "Big bro, I didn't do it on purpose." Yuanwan's face was filled with fear. "Oh, no problem, it doesn't hurt at all anyway." The man smiled warmly and courteously. "You're fine." Yuanwan finally had the courage to scan the man, and he really seemed like he was alright. But it was exactly because he was fine that freaked her out, alright. Any normal human being would have been dead by now. Even if he wasn't dead, he should have been severely injured. Yet this person was completely fine. "Be more careful when you're driving next time. You were lucky to have knocked into me. What would you have done if you knocked into some other pedestrian?" The man nagged like a senior. Yes, big bro, you're right. Big bro, are you a human or a ghost?" Yuanwan asked carefully. The man was taken aback by her question. "You thought you sent me to my death?" Yuanwan knitted her brows. "Didn't he die from this car crash, huh?" Chapter 793. Car accident scam. At this moment, she looked at this man with long white hair that reached his waist. He didn't seem to be what she thought he was. The situation made Yuanwan a little flustered, and she couldn't think clearly. "I'm a human, not a ghost." The man chuckled softly. Yuanwan was astonished. "Did I really knock you down just now?" Yuanwan stared at the white-haired man, and she looked even more puzzled. The car's already so dented, Yet he's still alive? It did hurt a little. The white-haired man complained and nodded with a look of certainty. Are you really all right? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? Yi Wanwan knitted her brows. I'm fine, don't worry. The white-haired man smiled. That's good then. Yi Wanwan nodded then said, compensate me now. Upon hearing what Yi Wanwan said, the white-haired man was stunned. You knocked into me, yet you're asking me for compensation? That's what I said. Although I was the one who knocked into you, you're perfectly fine while my car is not. Yi Wanwan opened the car door and pulled the white-haired man out. She then pointed at her car. Look at this. My car is so damaged thanks to you, so you can forget about leaving until you pay up. Misfortunes and riches are just superficial objects. You can't bring them to the grave with you, so don't be so greedy. Anyway, I don't have a single cent. The white-haired man shook his head. I don't care. You've damaged my car so badly, you must pay up. Yi Wanwan insisted. Where did you learn this unreasonable behavior from? The white-haired man stood rooted to the ground and looked suspiciously at Yi Wanwan. Before Yi Wanwan could speak, the white-haired man suddenly laid next to Yi Wanwan's feet. You've injured me. You have to pay for my medical bills. Since when did I hit you? Yi Wanwan was taken aback. Just a few moments ago, in the car. You punched me. Hurry, pay for my medical bills. I can't take it anymore. The white-haired man looked like he was in tremendous pain. Yi Wanwan. I was in shock in the car, so I did punch him, but that was over half an hour ago. This white-haired man only started screaming in pain now. This arrow shot back at me is a little too long. Ha! Enough, stop pretending. I'll just waive the compensation for my car. Yi Wanwan sighed. I suddenly realized that your punch wasn't so bad and I feel slightly better now. The white-haired man slowly stood up. Haha. Yi Wanwan laughed. So you were faking it, huh? You still have to pay up for the damage. I can't handle this pain anymore. I think you punched me too hard. Hurry, pay for my medical bills. The white-haired man looked like he was in pain and he laid back on the ground. Yi Wanwan. Why didn't I knock him to death just now? Finally, Yi Wanwan negotiated with the white-haired man. Neither of them would extort from the other. After the white-haired man agreed to it, he stood up. I'll get going if there's nothing else. Yi Wanwan was about to get into the car. Upon seeing this, the white-haired man grabbed Yi Wanwan and stopped her. You still got to compensate me. What? Yi Wanwan was shocked. Didn't we just make an agreement? Why's he asking me for money again? We settled on the punch but not the car accident. You still got to pay up. The man was firm. Aren't you all right? The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. I can't take it anymore. I almost died from this accident. You gotta compensate me today. The man acted like he was in agony and he laid on the ground for the third time. Chapter 794. Do you need help? Watching the amazing actor before her, Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded and wished she could give him one tight slap. Before Yi Wanwan could say a word, an SUV came speeding in their direction. Yi Wanwan and the white-haired man were in the middle of the road. Yet the SUV didn't seem to have the slightest intention of slowing down at all. Instead, it accelerated faster and faster, coming straight for Yi Wanwan. At that instant, Yi Wanwan retreated backward at lightning speed. Swish! The SUV went by in a flash and didn't knock into Yi Wanwan. Its speed didn't decrease and was about to knock into the white-haired man, who was playing dead on the ground. The white-haired guy stood up instantly and his movements were swift. He actually managed to dodge. In the next second, the SUV stopped and the door was opened. 3 men dressed in black stepped out of the car. The one leading the group looked like he was in his 30s and was expressionless. He merely glanced at Yi Wanwan before he made a gesture of slitting his throat to the other 2 men behind. Seeing this, Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. She felt quite uneasy before, and felt that someone was following her. Not long afterward, these people showed up wanting to kill her. Qin Ruoshi sent you guys? Yi Wanwan probed. Hearing that, the 3 men in black went blank and one of them instinctively blurted out. Who's Qin Ruoshi? Judging by their reactions, they didn't seem to be lying. It's not Qin Ruoshi, Yi Wanwan thought to herself. From what Yi Wanwan knew about Qin Ruoxi in her previous life, with her cautiousness, she wouldn't choose a time like this to deal with her. Furthermore, she wasn't a threat to Qin Ruoxi at the moment, so there wasn't any reasonable explanation for Qin Ruoxi to send killers after her. But if it's not Qin Ruoxi, who else would send people to assassinate me? Yi Wanwan's mind was working rapidly, yet she couldn't find any clues. Initially, Yi Wanwan guessed it might be Feng Yiping and Si Mingli who sent these people to deal with her. But thinking about it more carefully, it wasn't realistic. When she was in Myanmar, she started a feud with those two and embarrassed them thoroughly. Everyone knew that if something happened to her at this critical point in time, they would be the first suspects. With Si Mingli and Feng Yiping's shrewdness, they would never do something so foolish. Without giving Yi Wanwan time to think, the three men in black charged forward and surrounded her. In the blink of an eye, the three of them attacked her at the same time. How fast? Yi Wanwan was slightly surprised. These three people were very skilled, and even Yi Wanwan felt a little bit pressured. With three of them attacking at the same time, each move could get her killed, and every single move was murderous. Currently, the white-haired man was standing nearby, and his clear eyes were focused on Yi Wanwan's counter-moves. He raised his brows. This girl's moves. Do you need help? Very soon, the white-haired man stepped forward and approached Yi Wanwan. Yes. Yi Wanwan was very straightforward. You do. The white-haired man nodded. Give me money then. I'll help you if you give me money. There's no free lunch in this world, don't you agree? Yi Wanwan was speechless. Is money all he thinks about, huh? 100,000. 100,000 and I'll help you. What do you think? The white-haired man followed Yi Wanwan closely. 50,000. I won't haggle anymore. This is the lowest price. Give me $50,000 and I'll help you. The man hurriedly said. $100. Yi Wanwan extracted her body out of the fight for a moment and frowned. $100? Are you trying to chase a beggar away? The white-haired man didn't bother with Yi Wanwan anymore. Instead, he turned to those three men in black. Do you guys need help? Give me $1 million and I'll help you guys settle this. Chapter 795. So shameless Yi Wanwan. She had never seen someone so shameless before. Those men in black were obviously normal people, so when they heard what the white-haired men said, they were all dumbfounded. Get lost. One of the men bellowed. You really don't want to consider, dear? Don't get in the way. Otherwise we'll kill you as well. I'll lower the price a bit. How about $100,000? $50,000. I can't go any lower. You're asking for it. The three men in black couldn't take it any longer. They looked at one another and charged towards that white-haired man at once, ready to eliminate the person in the way first. The white-haired man smiled faintly. Tisk, it's really inexpensive. You're buying 3 lives with $50,000, eh? Yi Wanwan stared at the man. What sort of person is he exactly? Even after her car was so damaged, he was still fine. Even though she knew there were a couple of martial arts aristocratic families in Country Z, their bodies could withstand a large degree of force after training to a certain standard, and having copper skin and iron skull wasn't hearsay. Wasn't it a little too scary that he wasn't even afraid of being hit by a car? Moreover, his expression remained the same even when he was facing these 3 killers. His skills might even be better than nameless Nian Gang. Could it be that this mysterious person was a secret descendant of an expert? With that thought, the 3 men in black were already pouncing on the white-haired man. Following that, Yi Wanwan's jaw dropped. The sound of fists punching into a body kept ringing out. The white-haired man was surrounded by the 3 men in black, and was being beaten to a pulp. He wasn't able to retaliate at all. Yi Wanwan. I seem to have thought too far and overestimated him. So this guy is purely a scammer who's great at acting? With this skill, he had the guts to promote and sell himself to both sides to help with the fight? What was he even thinking? Seeing that the white-haired man had no strength to retaliate at all, the 3 men didn't bother with him any further and hurriedly attacked Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan's eyes lit up and she focused all her energy on fighting back. She was wrong about this strange white-haired man, but she was right about these 3 men. Judging from how they fought just now, These three were experts and just dealing with one of them would be tiring, not to mention all three at the same time. And this place was in the middle of nowhere. In a moment, countless thoughts flashed across Yi Wanwan's mind. However, just as she was thinking about how to deal with them, those men in black fell to the ground without a sound all of a sudden, one after another. Yi Wanwan was stunned. What just happened? Could it be that white-haired man? But how could he take away three people's lives in a split second? What sort of skill is that? Alas, Yi Wanwan finally saw the white-haired man clearly. Behind those men in black, the white-haired man had a gun in his hand, and there was a silencer attached to the gun. All she saw was the white-haired man blowing his gun. He patted the dust on his shirt away and said in disgust, "TSK, what era is this? People still fight? Which tomb did you guys come out from?" Yi Wanwan. She really overthought things. Once the white-haired man was done speaking, he stepped on the three men and walked towards Yi Wanwan. He stretched out his slender fingers and said, "Hand it over." Yi Wanwan was still in a daze. White-haired man. $100 you promised. Yi Wanwan. I thought he didn't agree to it? He's actually not even letting go of $100. White-haired man. What? You don't have cash? You can send it through WeChat. Yi Wanwan. Go to hell with this mysterious identity, secretive expert. Chapter 796. I'm special and gifted. Yi Wanwan held her head. Why do I keep bumping into such weird people after being reborn? However, since she was reborn, her coping mechanisms were quite strong. If it was anybody else, he or she would have probably been confused and gone crazy. You don't have WeChat? What about QQ? The white-haired man was already reading out his QQ number in haste. Yi Wanwan took out her phone and added his QQ helplessly. The two of them added each other as friends. Then Yi Wanwan saw that his nickname was Lonely Top Dog, and his display picture was a photo of himself. If it wasn't for his good looks, this head of white hair would make him look like a punk. His biography was truly hard to explain in a few words. How lonely it is to be invincible, how empty it is to be invincible, alone at the top with the cold wind howling. Who could understand my loneliness? Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan sent him a $100 red packet through the app without a word. The white-haired man smiled and accepted the red packet. Then he suddenly stared at her and asked, "Miss, who taught you those moves just now?" Yi Wanwan glanced at him and simply replied, "I learned them myself." Why? Lately, various moves and strategies often appeared in her head. When the white-haired man heard that, he raised his brows. "Are you sure you weren't taught by a handsome and amazing expert?" Yi Wanwan. "I think it's because I'm special and gifted." The white-haired man choked. "Miss, you're not modest at all." Yi Wanwan. "Is there anything else? Otherwise, I need to go and repair my car." "Ah, I suddenly remembered that I'm meeting someone for a spar. I'll get going first. Miss, if you really want to thank me, just help me with my QQ membership level. The annual fee one." The white-haired man glanced at the big dent on her car, and was afraid she would ask for compensation. So he hurriedly waved and ran away without a trace. Yi Wanwan. If he wants to act as an expert, could he do it all the way? He's not putting in any effort at all. It wasn't suitable to stay there for long. After the white-haired man left, Yi Wanwan left as well, and thankfully, the engine wasn't damaged, so she could still drive the car. Judging by the fighters' moves, she could tell they had powerful sponsors. However, these people seemed to be afraid and didn't dare to attack her openly. Just which power wants to take my life? The elders in the Sea family or Qin Ruoshi? Or is there a power behind the scenes that I didn't know about in both lives? In her previous life, she also encountered an assassination attempt like this. After that, she somehow died. She didn't even know how she died, so she didn't have any clues at all. And where did this white-haired man, who suddenly appeared then disappeared, come from? It's simply puzzling. With these thoughts running through Yi Wanwan's mind, she made a U-turn and drove directly to a courtyard in the suburbs of Beijing. She already got Feng Xian-yi to gather those mercenaries she brought over from Myanmar, and settled them down somewhere. With her current situation, it was the right time to build her army. When Yi Wanwan arrived, Those few people were all huddled together, talking about their new boss. Little Lolita held her face. Didn't expect that the Black Widow would be so pretty. She's even prettier than how they described her in those rumors. The fatty shook his head. Of course she's pretty. She drinks the blood of young girls like you to maintain her looks, eh? The guy with long hair said. Why do you think the Black Widow would create this identity and hide in the C family? The bearded man glanced at him and said, Baby, you're so dumb. Do you even need to ask? Obviously, it's for a man. Everyone knows the Black Widow loves good-looking men. It was rumored that even though the master of the C family is brutal and violent, he's extremely handsome. TSKTK, boss entered the C family with a hidden identity. What other reason could it be other than to sleep with him, huh? Yuan, who was standing at the door. Chapter 797. Hope you get to bed him soon, BBB boss. The few of them immediately stood up when they saw Yuan, and their faces turned pale. The elderly man hurriedly explained. Madam, please ignore the two of them. They didn't mean it. Little Lolita was so frightened that she cried. Mommy, I don't want to be sucked dry of my blood. I don't want to be a human puppet. The bearded man's legs trembled. Boss, I was wrong. I shouldn't have run my mouth. The guy with long hair quickly explained. Yes, boss. Don't stoop to Changji's level. Boss, there must be a very important mission, which is why you're hiding in the C family. We know. Yuan strode over and sat down lazily on the black leather sofa. She glanced at the trembling and terrified people. No. I just want to bed Si Han. She was racking her brains for an explanation, but it was fine now. They saved her the trouble. The group of 5 mercenaries choked on their words. Cough, cough, cough. The long-haired man nearly choked to death on his own saliva. He struggled for a long time before he managed to say, Avet, then I hope boss can bed him soon. The fatty obediently said, Boss, do you need some help with that? I have a type of medicine that allows you to do whatever you want to him. No matter how good-looking he is, he'll listen to you. Yuan. No need. The guy with long hair mumbled, Stupid fatso, what do you know, huh? That's not fun at all. With boss abilities, it'd be so easy if she wants to force it on him. The fatty immediately replied, That's true. I was being nosy. At this moment the elderly asked, Madam, it's so late. Do you have something you need to tell us? Yuan warned them, From today onwards, you guys will follow me around and I'll change your identities. Also, none of you are allowed to divulge my identity to anyone, understand? Yes. Thank you, boss. The 5 of them shouted at the same time. Yuan assigned them some tasks before returning to the apartment. Behind her, the 5 mercenaries watched as Yuan left and started whispering among themselves. It's been a close call for us all this time. If it wasn't for the Rose of Death's appearance, we wouldn't be here today. The long-haired man sighed. Thinking back to those days when they were on the run, the 5 people had a gloomy expression as they recalled their fallen brothers. The fatty said, We're a new team. Should we give something nice to boss to win her favor, and to thank boss for saving us? What should we give her then? I like fluffy little bears. How cute would that be? Little Lolita asked. The adults are talking. Kids should move aside. The fatty shoved little Lolita away and moved closer to the long-haired and bearded man. Boss couldn't bed the C family's master after so long, so she must be really thirsty. Why don't we offer her a few handsome men? I think that's not a bad idea. I think that would work. Late at night, Yuan laid on her bed, unable to fall asleep. Too many things had happened recently. Thinking about that white-haired man she saw that day, Yuan picked up her phone and looked through QQ. Which secret expert would exchange their QQ number with someone they just met? It's really strange. Yuan was thinking about it when she realized that the white-haired man had updated his nickname about an hour ago. What's even lonelier than being invincible is not having little Worryless by my side, cries. Worryless? Yuan stared at the word on her screen. Is that a name or something else? It looked quite familiar. Chapter 798. Must get it back the next morning. Dazzling media. You're finally done having fun? Yi Mufan whined. Yi Wanwan grinned. I brought some gifts for Daddy, Mommy, and you. Yi Mufan's expression changed slightly as he mumbled. At least you have some conscience. We're going to the old residence tonight, right? Yi Wanwan asked. Yeah, once she brought this up, Yi Mufan's face turned dark. Can we not go? Aren't things going well for us? Why must we go back and get bullied? Yi Wanwan swept her eyes across him and her gaze was icy cold. I've said this before. You must win the Yi family back. Did you forget how they treated Mom and Dad? Oh. Yi Mufan was embarrassed after receiving Yi Wanwan's icy glare, and he rubbed his nose. Of course I want that too, but with our current abilities and Grandpa and Grandma's prejudice against us, it's as hard as ascending to the skies. Yi Wanwan looked at him. You think Grandpa and Grandma's trust in them is so strong that it can't be broken? Evening at the Yi family's old residence. The two seniors had already heard about Yi Mufan's involvement in the movie, and the fact he had won so many big awards. They also knew about him serving as the vice president of the Fashion Association. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done something so groundbreaking as inviting him over for dinner for the very first time. It was a Yi family clan gathering today, so many friends and relatives were present. The second Yi Wanwan and Yi Mufan appeared. They attracted quite a bit of attention. With their looks, this pair of siblings was simply too eye-catching when they stood next to each other. Tanny Lon looked at the siblings who were very pleasing to the eyes, and her expression turned warm. Grandma. After being nudged awake by Yi Wanwan, Yi Mufan kept his spirits up and walked towards the two elderly. Grandma, I brought a gift for you and Grandpa. Take a look and see if you like it. It's enough that you're here. Why did you bring us gifts? Although that was what Tanny Lon said, she was still very satisfied. Yi Mufan looped his arm onto Tanny Lan's arm intimately. I've earned some money, so the first thing I should do is buy you presents obviously. Tanny Lon was relieved to hear that and she said, Mufan, you're finally starting to be more sensible now. Lately, your performance isn't bad and when I bumped into Chairman Mu, he even praised you. Did he praise me for getting the good genes from Grandma? Your fantastic taste in fashion? Oh you are. Seeing that Tanny Lon was so happy with Yi Mufan sucking up to her, Liang Meixian gritted her teeth. Liang Meixian strode over and mumbled. Mom, I heard Mufan is a stylist for a small subsidiary company under Worldwide? How could our people from Emperor Sky work for Worldwide? If this comes out, what would people think? Yi Mufan sneered. Second aunt, I'm afraid you're quite shallow, huh? As the saying goes, learn from the foreigners in order to gain command of them. We have to know ourselves and the enemy, then we'll be able to emerge victoriously. I'm working at Worldwide in order to find out more about them and understand the way they work. Behind him, Old Master Yi walked over and nodded. What Mufan said makes sense. Liang Meixian didn't have anything to say. Her face was covered in resentment. She couldn't tolerate it and wanted to continue when a little hand tugged at her arm lightly, asking her to stop. Yi Yi was wearing a beautiful light blue evening gown, and she walked over to Tanny Lon. Grandma, I have good news. We've reached an agreement to collaborate with Splendid Pictures for our key TV series this year. When Tanny Lon heard that, she directed all her attention to Yi Yi. Really? Splendid Pictures was the country's top movie production company, synonymous with the word big. When Yi Mufan heard that, his eyes turned gloomy. While he was still struggling at a small subsidiary company, Yi Yi had already reached a level that was beyond his reach. Chapter 799. Aren't you ashamed at all? Liang Meixian looked at Yi Mufan's deflated expression, and her happiness was restored. My Yi Jie is outstanding. Everyone says she's educated and well-balanced and has a pure heart and spirit. Even Yu Zhe's parents keep saying she's smart and capable. Many friends and relatives of the Gu family keep asking if Yi has any elder or younger sister who they could get to know, and I immediately thought of Yi Wanwan. I wanted to play matchmaker but was afraid that. Liang Meixian was praising Yi Yi while bringing up the Gu family. She was directly stabbing Yi Wanwan in the heart, and even pretended to be hesitant to speak up. What she meant was that Yi Yi had a cousin but she couldn't introduce her because she might bring down the entire family's reputation. Liang Meixian, what do you mean by that? Are you trying to throw shade on someone? Don't forget who the marriage was arranged for in the first place. You stole something that belonged to Yi Wanwan, yet you're still acting so smug here. Aren't you ashamed at all? Yi Mufan held it in earlier and didn't say anything, but listening up to this point, he finally reached his limit. Yi Wanwan glanced at Yi Mufan. If she was the Yi Wanwan from her previous life, she would have reacted much more strongly than Yi Mufan. In her previous life, she resented that Yi always pretended to be generous, elegant, high and mighty, and they always stepped on their family whenever they could. Just thinking about the fact that Yi had stolen her fiancé. Whenever Yi simply opened her mouth to speak, that would be enough to cause Yi Wanwan to lose control. Furthermore, there was Liang Meixian fanning the flames by the side. Each time they returned to the old residence, she would cause a ruckus. Even if the two elderly didn't like her mother, she was still their granddaughter. They chased her out of the house only because she utterly embarrassed the Yi family many times and insisted on cutting all ties with the Yi family. The two elderly had run out of patience for her, which was why she was in this state. And the present Yi Wanwan obviously wouldn't do something so silly. Upon hearing Yi Mufan's questioning, Liang Meixian looked surprised. Mufan, what are you trying to say? I merely wanted to play matchmaker for Wanwan but was afraid Wanwan would think I'm too nosy and get upset. How am I throwing shade, huh? But I have to ask you what you mean by that. Stole what that belonged to Wanwan? Yuze broke up with Wanwan before he got together with Re. It was done openly and above board, and the two of them are in love. You really shouldn't go around talking like that. Everyone knew how Wanwan was like in the past. Look at your conscience and ask yourself, if it was you, who would you pick? With relationships, you can't force anything. Tisk, open and above board, two of them are in love, huh? She set me up, then threatened my father, and finally, hooked up with Gu Yuze, slowly destroying our family completely. Liang Meixian spoke while she observed the reactions of Yi Wanwan and Yi Mufan calmly. She wasn't afraid these two would cause a ruckus. It would be best if they could start a big one. That would be exciting. Lately, she noticed that the two elderly were starting to soften and her head starting hurting. Yi Mufan was so mad that he nearly charged towards Liang Meixian. You. At this moment, Yi Wanwan, who hadn't spoken at all, pulled Yi Mufan back casually, then smiled widely and walked towards the two elderly, Liang Meixian and Yi. She said with crystal clear eyes. Go, you've misunderstood Second Aunt. How could she mean it that way? Second Aunt really liked Yuze before, and now that he's with Yi, Second Aunt is just really happy, so she simply said stuff like how the Gu family fancies Yi. Chapter 800. I will never let you suffer. Furthermore, Yi Jie is really amazing. Yi Jie is now my role model, and as for Yuze, he's very compatible with Yi Jie, so I sincerely give them my blessings. I hope they can get along well. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the initiative to cancel the engagement at Grandpa's birthday banquet that time. I did that because I don't want Yi Jie and Yuze to be affected by me. I was too ignorant and willful in the past and made Grandpa and Grandma so worried and disappointed. Thankfully, there's Second Aunt and Yi Jie by their side. Hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Liang Meixian looked like she had just seen a ghost, and Yi furrowed her brows as well. Yi Mufan was obviously dumbstruck. Tan Yilan looked at her granddaughter carefully. Not only did she change her style of dress, but even her character had also changed quite a bit. Although she was still doubtful, she still said, "It's great that you think this way." Yi Hongwei's cold and sour expression warmed up a little. "You're finally behaving properly." Yi Wanwan walked up to Liang Meixian and took out a small box. She opened it, and there was a jade-beaded bracelet inside. "Second Aunt, I went to Myanmar for holiday and specifically bought you a jade-beaded bracelet. It's not expensive, but I picked it out very carefully. I hope you like it." Liang Meixian looked doubtful and skeptical. This brat. What's with the drastic change in attitude, and what tricks does she have up her sleeve? Seeing that Liang Meixian was in a daze, Yi Wanwan looked hurt and retracted her arm slightly. "I was rude, sorry. This thing is so cheap. It's not consistent with Second Aunt's status at all." Liang Meixian hurriedly accepted the item and hid the disdain in her eyes. She smiled. "Not at all. It's seldom that Wanwan is so nice. I really like it." Thank you. The old man was pleased to see this. He nodded and said in a serious tone, Not bad, this is how a family should be, don't keep fighting anymore. He was very satisfied with Yi Wanwan's performance today. They chatted for a bit before Yi Mufan couldn't hold it in any longer, and he pulled Yi Wanwan aside. Wanwan, have you lost your mind? Never mind that you're speaking so nicely to that woman, but you even gave her a gift. Yi Wanwan stroked the rose petals calmly. You think I should squabble with her like you did? If you cause a ruckus today, those good impressions Grandpa and Grandma had of us would go down the drain. But we don't have to be so submissive with her, right? Yi Mufan clenched his fists tightly when he thought of how Yi Wanwan swallowed her pride, humbled herself and suffered grievances for him. He felt unbearably awful. He'd rather see her being willful and making a scene. Wanwan. Yi Mufan looked at Yi Wanwan with a firm gaze. Go will definitely get back everything that belongs to us. I'll never let you suffer again. Upon seeing how serious he was, Yi Wanwan's expression turned gentler. And I believe that Ji can do it. Behind them, Liang Meixian suddenly walked over. TSK, just a vice chairperson of the Fashion Association. Yet your ego is ascending to the skies. If our E was like you, wouldn't she have to beat a gong and set off firecrackers every single day? You actually wanted to snatch a man away from our E. Why don't you see and take a look at your reflection? See what kind of person you are. Yi Mufan recalled what Wanwan said and didn't want to quarrel with Liang Meixian. He glanced at her, controlled his temper and ignored her. Chapter 801. So what if I hit you? Liang Meixian became even more arrogant when she saw that the two of them didn't dare talk back. She scoffed and continued. Liang Wanjun, that bitch couldn't even defeat me and you two bastards still want to try to fight me, huh? How naive. In the next second, there was a resounding slap. Yi Wanwan used all her force and landed a slap on Liang Meixian's face. Liang Meixian's head tilted to the side from the tight slap. She was in disbelief and returned to her senses only after a long while. She held her face, which was imprinted with 5 distinct finger marks, and she screeched, Little bitch. You hit me, you actually hit me. Slapped at Yi Wanwan didn't even think twice and waved her palm once again, giving her another slap. Then she straightened her sleeves and lifted her eyes. Yes, I hit you. So what? This slap was even harder, and Liang Meixian's face started to swell with a burning sensation. Liang Meixian was completely stunned by these 2 unexpected slaps in a row. Yi Mufan stood rooted to the ground in a daze. Seeing his younger sister's aggression and rampant expression, he couldn't return to his senses at all. I thought we agreed to restrain ourselves. Mom Yi walked over. When she saw the finger marks on Liang Meixian's face, she cried out, Wanwan, what are you doing? How could you hit her? Shortly after, Yi Shaoan walked over as well. Little bitch. Are you trying to revolt? The commotion caught the attention of the 2 elderly very quickly, as Yi Hongwei and Tanny Lan started walking towards them. Liang Meixian held her red and swollen face as darkness shrouded her eyes. Yi Wanwan, you'll see how you're going to die this time. What's going on? The 2 elderly walked over. Liang Meixian had already prepared her complaints. However, just a second before the 2 elderly walked past the flowering shrubs and reached them, Yi Wanwan suddenly took a step forward and her body tilted as she fell onto Liang Meixian's feet. Before she fell, her fingers hooked onto the beaded jade bracelet that Liang Meixian had put on her wrist as an act earlier. She pulled it off and threw it on the ground. Liang Meixian hadn't reacted to what happened. Wanwan, seeing that Yi Wanwan had fallen all of a sudden, Yi Mufan was taken aback. He leaped up and went over immediately. Yi Wanwan grabbed hold of Yi Mufan's hand and gave him a subtle squeeze on his hand. Yi Mufan was dumbfounded. She's acting? Yi Hongwei and Tanny Lan had just arrived when they saw Yi Wanwan on the ground and immediately walked past Liang Meixian as they rushed to Yi Wanwan. What happened here? Wanwan, what happened? Yi Wanwan's eyes reddened. Grandpa, Grandma. I'm fine. This has nothing to do with second aunt. I fell down myself by accident. Hearing what Yi Wanwan said, the 2 elderly turned to Liang Meixian. Your second aunt pushed you? Liang Meixian panicked. Dad, Mom, how could I possibly? Yi Hongwei said sternly. What's the rush? Let Wanwan speak first. Yi Wanwan looked like she was deeply hurt. Just now, I was strolling around the little garden when I heard Second Aunt and Yi Jie talking. They said. What did they say? Yi Hongwei probed urgently. Yi Wanwan pursed her lips. Second Aunt called Ji and I little bastards. She said we're not a threat to Yi Jie's position at all. She also said that she has the final say in this family. She won't allow us to return home. We will never be able to return home in our lifetimes. Grandpa, Grandma, Ji and I really don't want to compete with Yi Jie for anything. We only came back because we miss Grandpa and Grandma. Why did Second Aunt have to say these things? Chapter 802. Simply out of this world. Yi Wanwan started sobbing. Second Aunt, she even threw the bracelet I gave her just now and said she dislikes such cheap things and felt disgusted wearing it. I specifically bought it for her using an entire month's salary, so I was really mad and confronted her. But in the end, she pushed me. Wretch! You're making this up. Liang Meixian was furious. She hurriedly turned to the two elderly and explained. Dad, Mom, how could that be? I didn't push her at all. She was the one who slapped me twice. Tears started rolling down Yi Wanwan's cheeks. Second Aunt, you've got to speak with a conscience. If you didn't go overboard with your words, if you didn't say Grandpa and Grandma would die someday, why would I be so mad that I hit you? Also, if you didn't push me, then did I push myself to the ground? If you're not the one who threw that bracelet, then was I the one who pulled it off your wrist and threw it on the ground? Second Aunt, you're being a big bully. Liang Meixian was dumbfounded. Her eyes widened, and she nearly vomited blood from anger. She did fall over herself, and she was the one who pulled the bracelet off my wrist then threw it on the ground. Okay. She only called them little bastards. Yet Yi Wanwan came up with so many other stories and drove a wedge between her and the two elderly with every word. The two elderly didn't quite believe what Yi Wanwan said at first, but listening up to this point and seeing the beads of jade scattered all over the floor, they were already 70% convinced. If it was the Yi Wanwan from her previous life, the two elderly would never have believed a word, but Yi Wanwan's performance had been pretty good lately, and they were very satisfied with her tonight, so her words were more credible. Yi Hongwei looked at Liang Meixian sternly. These past few years, the extended family had indeed held quite a lot of power, and was becoming very arrogant, like no one else mattered. I'm not dead yet, eh? How could she say she's the one who calls the shots in the house? Who gave her this authority? Although the extended family would inherit this household sooner or later, Yi Hongwei was still upset. Dad, Mom, don't believe anything this wretch said. This wretch is trying to drag me down. I swear I never said those words. That's right. Grandpa, Grandma, I can attest to that. Yi hurriedly chimed in. Yi Wanwan wiped her tears and stood up. She bent over and picked up the beads of jade on the floor one by one. Yi Wanwan didn't attempt an explanation at all. Instead, she said, Grandma, I'm sorry, I caused trouble for all of you again. I thought this was my home, and I was trying really hard to change to fit in with this family. I even let go of the love of my life, but now I guess I was wrong. Let's go. Ah. Oh. When Yi Wanwan called him, Yi Mufan finally returned to his senses and followed his sister in a daze. Once they left the old residence, the moment they got into the car, Yi Wanwan bounced back to her languid and casual attitude as if that little pitiful girl, who suffered and was bullied, was simply from Yi Mufan's imagination. Yi Mufan gulped. Damn. I thought I was a great actor and was immeasurably satisfied with my performance last time, but after watching yours, I finally know the level of acting skills a movie queen has. It's simply out of this world. I was stunned and wasn't mentally prepared at all. You should have at least given me a warning, eh? Yi Wanwan tossed the beads of jade in her palm and said indifferently, I was just letting them have a taste of their own medicine. This mother and daughter duo love acting, right? We shall see who's the better actor then. Chapter 803. Get him drunk. Although Yi Hongwei was getting older, he still placed great importance on his status, and what Mei Xian said tonight was enough to sow a grudge in the old man's heart. Late at night, Yi residence. Tan Yilan furrowed her brows. Hong Wei, what do you think about the incident this evening? Liang Meixian and Yi insisted Wanwan was deliberately slandering them, and I think that with Meixian's character, she wouldn't have said those things. Also, Yi could bear witness, the old man scoffed. Yi would obviously speak up for her mother, and as for Wanwan, do you really think that girl would have the brains to plot against people? Meixian probably did say those things. Tan Yilan thought about it again. This little granddaughter of hers was very reckless and impulsive. She only knew how to make noise and wouldn't really have the brains to scheme and play with people's minds. The old man pondered it and said, Meixian is becoming quite greedy and ambitious. I'm not dead yet, but she's already beginning to look forward to that day so that she can take complete control. Tan Yilan said, Meixian did have some conflicts with Wan Jun, and she might have made some nasty comments when she was mad. But this child has always been very filial and wouldn't have cursed us. I think Wanwan exaggerated a little. The old man sneered. Even if she didn't say it, do you dare guarantee that Shaoan and his wife didn't have those thoughts? Tan Yilan sighed. Actually, it's not wrong to want to have more power. The Yi family can't rely on the main branch anymore, and can only rely on the extended family's support. It's only a matter of time that they would take over and inherit control of the Yi family. The old man's eyes flashed. That's not necessarily true. His eldest son messed up and disappointed him while his grandson was ignorant and incompetent, a hopeless case. As for his intemperate granddaughter, there was nothing much he needed to say about her. The entire main branch was preposterous. He didn't want the blood, sweat, and tears he worked hard for his entire life to be ruined in the hands of the next generation, so he wouldn't hesitate to punish his own family if justice demanded it. But it wasn't the end yet, and until now, the successor hadn't been selected. I see that Mu Fan and Wanwan's performance has been great lately, the old man muttered. Tan Yilan agreed. If Mu Fan could really come around, that would be best, but I'm afraid that with his character, he won't last long. It's not like this hasn't happened before. The old man said, Don't rush, we'll wait and see. Pearl River Regal Riviera. After Yi Wanwan arrived at the apartment, she stopped the car and dropped Yi Mu Fan off. We're here. You can get off now. You're not going back? Yi Mu Fan knitted his brows. Yi Wanwan. Nope, I've got a date. Yi Mu Fan was irritated. Are you kidding me? You guys just came back from holiday and are still sticking to each other every single day. Don't you find it a bore? Yi Wanwan scoffed. Single dogs like you won't get it. The fact was that she and Si Yihan hadn't actually returned from a trip together since she went to Myanmar alone. As the saying went, absence makes the heart grow fonder. She left quite abruptly last night, so naturally, she had to make up for it tonight. Damn. Yi Mu Fan felt stabbed in the heart. He didn't think he would actually live to see this day, when someone would call him a single dog. Yi Mu Fan was about to leave when Yi Wanwan turned and stopped him. Wait, Ji. I heard that someone gave you a nice bottle of wine? Lately, things were going smoothly and they even managed to abuse Liang Meixian today. She was in a good mood and had a sudden urge to drink a little alcohol. Just like how she suddenly wanted to eat almond cakes. Yi Mu Fan looked at her, confused. Yes, someone gave me a bottle of Romani Conti. What are you thinking? Chapter 804. I have you by my side. Yi Wanwan grinned. Go give it to me. Yi Mu Fan frowned. What do you want it for? Yi Wanwan. I'm drinking it. Yi Mu Fan stared at her, alarmed. Yi Wanwan. Don't try to bluff. Are you planning to get that wild man drunk, so he's easier to tackle? Yi Wanwan. Go, you're seriously overthinking, really. Do I look like such a beast? Alas, Yi Wanwan still snatched that bottle of red wine from Yi Mu Fan, then happily hummed on her way back to Jean Garden. Baby, I'm home. Si Yihan was sitting on the sofa in the living room with a chessboard laid out on the coffee table. Upon hearing her voice, he placed a chess piece down lightly and lifted his gaze, looking towards her. Yi Wanwan changed her shoes while exclaiming excitedly, Hee darling, let me tell you something. I acted like a little white flower with a bitter fate and pissed Liang Meixian and Yi off so badly this evening. I think the Oscars owes me a little golden man. she rambled away when Si-Han caught sight of something in her hands. What's that you're holding? Yi Wanwan suddenly felt a little guilty. Oh, it's wine. Si-Han knitted his brows. Of course he knew it was wine. Yi Wanwan skipped over and coaxed him. Don't frown. Things went so smoothly for my first task in the company. Shouldn't we at least drink and celebrate? Si-Han's expression was cold. There was no room for negotiation as he said, the contract. Yi Wanwan replied, Fine. I know the contract stated I'm not allowed to drink, but I'm in a good mood and really want to drink a little. I swear I'll only drink a little. Si-Han's mind didn't change at all. No way. Yi Wanwan skipped over again and sat closer to him. Ajio, you're not letting me drink because I have a low tolerance or because you're worried I won't be safe after I get drunk. No matter what the reason is, I'm with you right now and I have you by my side. What's the matter with drinking just a bit? Si-Han. Just a little. Yi Wanwan. I love you the most. Si-Han pinched his brows, probably because she was breaking the rules. He seemed slightly vexed. Wait. Si-Han grabbed his phone and called Sui. After Sui received the summons, he rushed over immediately. Ninth Master. What can I do for you? Si-Han said coldly. Tonight, make sure that all the maids, security guards and dark team guards in Jin Garden do not walk around, including yourself. Upon seeing how serious Si-Han looked, Sui was instantly on guard. Ninth Master, did something happen? Si-Han. How am I going to explain this? Before Si-Han could reply, Yi Wanwan whined. I'm just going to drink a little wine. Why do you have to forbid everyone from moving around? Is there a relationship between these two things? When Sui heard what Yi Wanwan said, he was stunned and his face turned green. Miss Wanwan, you're going to drink. Upon seeing Su Yi's exaggerated reaction, Yi Wanwan was confused. Yep, I'm going to drink a little wine at home to celebrate. What's wrong? Why's he reacting this way? Ninth Master, I'll get it done straight away. Sui disappeared without a trace. Once he left the room, Sui started to call up every single department. Hello, Captain Fong 11. Tell everyone right now that nobody is allowed to appear tonight. No, nothing happened in Jin Garden. This is for everyone's personal safety. Chapter 805. Life is too beautiful. Within a short while, the entire Jin Garden was silent without a sound to be heard at all. Yi Wanwan thought Si-Han wanted to have some alone time with her, and didn't want anyone to interrupt them, so she didn't think much of it, and happily brought over 2 glasses of red wine. The glass she gave to Si-Han was filled with milk, while the one for herself was filled with red wine. Yi Wanwan raised her glass. Cheers. Upon seeing that his cup was filled with milk, Yi Wanwan warned him sternly. Dr. Sun said you're not allowed to drink wine, so you should just stick to milk. It's healthier. If it wasn't for Si-Han's health, she would really want to get him drunk. This guy was usually too proper and she didn't know what was on his mind at all. She was really curious what he would be like when he was drunk. Si-Han took a sip of his milk, then gave Yi Wanwan a slice of bacon. The kitchen had already prepared an exquisite meal, and since Yi Wanwan hadn't eaten much at the old residence, she savored sipping her wine and enjoying the delicacies with a beautiful companion by her side. She felt that life was simply too beautiful. Why did I make myself suffer so much in my previous life? Although she was still in a crisis after she was reborn, she could now live freely and without restraint. She was very content with this already. Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and swirled her glass of red wine. Ajio, can I ask you a question? Si-Han. What is it? Yi Wanwan. I want to know. I want to know why you had to imprison me. Is it just because I rebelled and escaped? When she recalled things that happened in her previous life and that assassination, she speculated that Si-Han imprisoned her as a form of protection? Never mind, nothing much. Alas, Yi Wanwan didn't ask the question. She was living this life right now and she wasn't in the past anymore. Everything had changed. Si-Han hadn't imprisoned her again, and she was no longer meat on the chopping board waiting to be slaughtered. She would protect the people around her, and also protect herself. Enjoy all the pleasures life has to offer. The golden cup should be filled with wine accompanied by the moonlight. As he watched Yi Wanwan finishing one glass after another, Si Han held her arm. "You're drinking too much." Yi Wanwan hugged the wine bottle and didn't let go. "Yeah, right. I've only had 3 glasses, all right. Don't be so stingy." Si Han somewhat regretted agreeing to this, but he seemed to have recalled something and a hint of hesitation appeared in his eyes. While Si Han was hesitating, Yi Wanwan took the chance to pour herself another glass. Yi Wanwan leaned on the table and requested with sparkling eyes, Agio, I want to have some boiled shelled peanuts. It's the best snack to go with wine." Si Han stood up and was about to head to the kitchen to prepare the peanuts when he turned around, worried. "Don't drink too much." Yi Wanwan nodded her head nonstop. "And then got it." The moment Si Han placed one foot forward, Yi Wanwan started gulping down many glasses. Damn, it's really not easy to have a good drink. Shortly after, she finished almost half the bottle. Yi Wanwan was feeling alright initially, but gradually, the booze worked its way up and she started feeling dizzy. After waiting for some time, Si Han hadn't returned, so she went downstairs to find him, swaying from side to side. Where's the door? Where's the door, huh? Yi Wanwan was looking for the door in her drunken state, and went in the opposite direction towards the windows instead. Yi Wanwan pushed open the windows then looked down. Oh, so it's here. Why's this doorstep so high up? In the next second, she leaped and jumped straight out the window from the second story with her nimble body. Chapter 806. Let's sleep together, alright? In the deepest part of the little grove in Jean Garden, the dark team guards, who were on duty, were struggling as they crouched together to take refuge. "Captain, when can we return?" Feng Xian scratched his head. I don't know either. 11 sighed. "I think we need to wait till at least tomorrow morning when Miss Wanwan is completely sober." The others nodded and agreed. And for our safety, we should stay out here longer. Miss Wanwan is terrifying when she gets drunk and wild. Furthermore, Yi Wanwan had undergone special training and her skills would definitely have advanced to another level compared to that time at the bar. I don't ever want to fight with the drunken Miss Wanwan again. The garden and courtyard of Jean Garden were extremely huge. For the drunk Yi Wanwan, it was just like a maze. Probably because she had a bit of wine. She felt warm all over and her fists were itching. She really wanted to find someone to fight with. However, she had been walking around for a long time. Yet she couldn't even find a shadow. Yi Wanwan was getting frustrated. Annoying. Why isn't there anyone here? Yi Wanwan was walking around intoxicated. Suddenly, she saw a big ball of silvery white hair under the tree. That is. Yi Wanwan was instantly attracted to the silvery white and fluffy object that her eyes lit up immediately. She skipped towards the big tree and jogged over swiftly. After she got closer, all she saw was a big white tiger with silvery white hair lying under the big tree, sleeping. The white tiger looked sleek and shiny. His big head was resting against his meaty paws, and the tips of his ears would twitch a little from time to time. He slowly opened his eyes, probably because he sensed someone nearby, and he revealed a pair of pale blue pupils, cold and vigilant. Once the great white tiger saw Yi Wanwan, he laid back to rest once again, uninterested. "Wah, great white, great white, great white. When did you come back? I missed you so much." Probably because she had too much to drink and forgot about her fears, Yi Wanwan pounced onto the white tiger like an arrow, then poof. She buried her entire head into the white tiger's soft fur and rubbed her face against it, absolutely unrestrained. At the same time in the house, Si Han went upstairs with the peanuts, but in the end, the room was empty. Yi Wanwan wasn't there and the window was wide open. Darn it! Si Han's expression changed in an instant. Knew I shouldn't have lowered my guard around her at all. Si Han hurriedly rushed downstairs to look for her. In the end, he looked all around the courtyard and couldn't find her. He had no clue where she went either. Just as he was panicking, he could hear Slaughter's roar from the little garden. Roar, Slaughter's roaring. Si Han hurriedly ran in the direction of the sound and went around the shrubs. Then he finally saw Slaughter being hugged by Yi Wanwan, and she was rubbing his fur continuously. In just a moment, Slaughter's sleek and smooth hair was a mess from all the touching and rubbing, and he looked like he was on the verge of swallowing her up. Roar, dumb humans. Can't you see what your woman is doing? I'm completely defiled. Yi Wanwan rolled around on Great White's body. Ah, Great White, you're so soft, so comfy. Great White, let's sleep together tonight, alright? Si Yi Han looked at the scene in front of him, and he was about to break down. He had given everyone the heads up, but forgot there was still a white tiger on the loose. Chapter 807. The Great Devil uses the ultimate move. In the deepest part of the grove in Jin Garden. Upon hearing the tigers roar from afar, the dark team guards had strange looks on their faces. Oh, what's that sound? 11 mumbled. Sounds like Slaughter. Slaughter's roar sounded quite miserable. What happened? Did he get captured by Miss Wanwan? That's really terrible. Everyone looked at one another in terror. She didn't even let a tiger off, she's simply a beast. Poor Slaughter. Upon hearing one roar after another, the group of guards started shivering as they hid in the dark. We must hide well. We can't let Miss Wanwan find us. At the same time, Si Yi Han was confronted by a woman and a tiger. Si Yi Han. Wanwan, let Slaughter go. Si Yi Han's words fell on deaf ears. She continued stroking the big cat happily. TSK, so soft, so comfy. Baby, you feel so good. Feels so good? Si Yi Han's eyes darkened further, and he said in a frosty tone, Wanwan, come here. Yi Wanwan hugged Great White and didn't let go. No. I want to be with Great White. I want to sleep together with Great White. Sleep together. Si Yi Han stared at the girl who stuck herself to the white tiger like a baby, and the air around him turned colder. However, Yi Wanwan didn't sense a thing, and was still basking in the delight of stroking the cat. She had yearned to touch Great White in this way for such a long time, and now that she could do it, she obviously wasn't going to let go so easily. Si Yi Han urged her again. Wanwan, this is your last chance. The effects of the alcohol were kicking in, and Yi Wanwan was becoming dizzier. She found the voice in her ear rather annoying, and while she was in a daze, she turned to the shadow hidden behind the leaves, upset. Who are you? You're noisy. You're disturbing me and Great White. Si Yi Han. A gust of wind blew, rustling the leaves. Yi Wanwan suddenly felt chilly and let out a sneeze. Just at that moment, that man who was interrupting her time with Great White walked over slowly and came out of the shadows. Then the man's cold face of unparalleled beauty, who looked as if he had been banished from heaven, appeared under the moonlight. The background was smudged into an ink and wash painting. His brows seemed to be smoking. He had a high-nosed bridge, ice-cold eyes and thin lips in the shade of the cherry blossoms in March, and he held a gaze like he despised all living creatures. Yi Wanwan stared at him in awe. Si Yi Han stopped when he was 5 steps away from Yi Wanwan, then his long and fair fingers touched his collar. His fingers moved slightly and click. A black button was undone between his fingers, the first one, then the second one. After the second button was undone, Si Yi Han pulled on his collar, revealing a small section of his charming collarbone. His self-restraint was immediately turned into an entirely different charm. Yi Wanwan stared at the beauty before her eyes without blinking at all. She couldn't move her eyes away. The moment the third button was unfastened, Si Yi Han lifted his gaze. His eyes glimmered in the dark night like the stars and moon. He turned towards her, and at the same time, he opened his thin lips and said once more, "Come here." Swish, the moment Si Yi Han spoke, Yi Wanwan released the white tiger and stood up instantly as she spun and darted towards the beauty. Chapter 808. Why don't we do something meaningful? After seeing Si Yi Han's face, Yi Wanwan's attitude changed 180 degrees, and she even tossed Great White to the back of her mind. The white tiger took this opportunity to escape and disappeared into the night. Seeing that Yi Wanwan had abandoned the white tiger and ran over, Si Yi Han's expression finally turned gentler. Yi Wanwan buried her head into Si Yi Han's chest as she looked up at the handsome man with her glistening eyes. Wow. Baby looks really good. Yi Wanwan looked at him like she literally wanted to tear off his clothes. It was as if a wild beast had spotted a meaty bone. The corners of Si Yi Han's lips twitched. Go back. Oh. Yi Wanwan nodded her head and followed him obediently. After they entered the house, Si Han let Yi Wanwan drink the soup he prepared for her to sober up, then he ordered her to shower and go to bed. Yi Wanwan didn't lay still when she got into bed. At this moment, the effects of the alcohol completely overcame her, and the soup she drank wasn't effective at all. Yi Wanwan placed her head on her arm and laid in bed, intoxicated. Si Han was currently taking his clothes off. Yi Wanwan stared at him without blinking at all. Wherever he went, her eyes followed. The second Si Han changed into his pajamas and placed his head on the pillow. Yi Wanwan immediately turned into a ferocious beast hunting for its prey. She flipped over and pressed her body on top of him, then she stared straight at him. "Handsome, you're very good looking. What's your name?" Si Han. "Looks like she's completely wasted." Yi Wanwan. "Handsome, let me read your fortune, alright? I'm very accurate." Si Han. Yi Wanwan blinked. Handsome, why aren't you responding? It's such a beautiful night. Time is of the essence. A quarter of an hour is worth 1,000 gold. Why don't we do something meaningful with our time? Yi Wanwan spoke as she got closer to him. They were so close that they could feel each other's breath, and her jet black hair was caressing his chest. Si Han. Si Han took a deep breath and suppressed the lower half of his body that was aroused by this girl. Go to bed. Yi Wanwan was hyperactive at this moment. There was no way she could sleep. "I don't want to sleep. I want to bed you." Swish, and the sky was spinning. In the very next second, Yi Wanwan was pressed against the bed instead. Si Han's breathing got heavier as he gritted his teeth, and he glared at the girl underneath him. Yi Wanwan stared at his ice-cold face that was stained with anger. She had a puzzled look and tilted her head as she asked him, Handsome? Why do you look so familiar? Have I met you somewhere before?" When Si Han heard that, his eyes constricted. "Really?" Yi Wanwan nodded seriously. "Yes, handsome, you look like my kid's father." "Oh." Si Han. Si Han's face was as black as the underside of a pot. Since when did she have a kid? Si Han took the blanket and bundled Yi Wanwan up tightly, only leaving her little head outside, and ordered her, "Sleep." Yi Wanwan was wrapped up like a dumpling. I, handsome. What are you doing?" "I was serious. You don't believe me? Why don't we create one now, huh?" Si Han. "Shut up." Yi Wanwan. Hand, Si Han couldn't tolerate this anymore, and he covered her mouth, preventing her from speaking at all. Chapter 809. Not allowed to hurt others. Si Han used all his willpower to end the kiss. "I'm going to sleep in the study." There was no way he could sleep in the same bed with her tonight. Beauty, don't go." Yi Wanwan was in despair as she watched her beauty leaving the room. She rolled around the bed and couldn't fall asleep at all. She sat up decisively, then went out through the window again. Jean Garden in the Grove. The dark team guards were sighing. "It's already midnight. Can't we go back yet?" "I don't know, should we call housekeeper Sue and ask?" "Aren't we making a big deal out of this, huh? It was probably just a fluke before." The group was deep in discussion when all of a sudden, a head dangled from the tree. "Hi, how are you guys? I finally found some humans." There was a dead silence in the air for a few seconds before they started wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. H. Shit. Miss Wanwan. How did she appear? Yi Wanwan suddenly appeared on top of the tree with her head dangling. The dark team guards, who were in hiding, were simply scared out of their wits. Everyone took 10 steps back at the same time, and they stared at Yi Wanwan with alarm, beads of cold sweat trickling down. "Damn. What's going on here? We were hiding here and were actually found. And now what should we do?" Head Captain 11, quick, think of something. 11 took a big gulp. Miss Wanwan, why are you here? It's really late now. You better go back and rest." Swish. Yi Wanwan jumped off the tree. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned the group. "I remember all of you. You guys are the people who beat me up last time. Why don't we continue where we left off?" Everyone. She must have made a mistake. Who actually beat people up, huh? Even if you're itching for a fight, you didn't have to use this excuse, right? Before anyone could react, Yi Wanwan was already charging towards them at lightning speed. Yi Wanwan was already terrifying to begin with, but after drinking, it was as if a seal was broken and her strength was off the charts. Very soon, the grove was filled with sounds of grief from all around. Diabolical. We already hid all the way out here, yet we still couldn't hide from her. Teacher, stop fighting. Feng Xianyi stumbled and tried to stop her. Yi Wanwan attacked anyone who came in her path. In other people's eyes, the two of them were just sparring, but Feng Xianyi's expression changed subtly in the dark. This woman took on 3 moves of mine that used all my strength. After all, the fight was in full view and Feng Xianyi didn't want to keep testing her strength. He held back and was sent flying with a kick. Yi Wanwan was having so much fun, but suddenly, a deep hoarse voice came from behind her, Wanwan. Upon hearing that familiar voice, all the Dark Team guards turned to that person. 9th Master. Currently, Yi Wanwan had 1 guard wrapped around her arm, and another one under her foot. When she saw the person coming towards her, her eyes lit up. A beauty. Si Yihan stared at Yi Wanwan, who sneaked out the second he wasn't paying attention, and his face turned gloomy. Go back to bed. Yi Wanwan pouted and looked very unwilling. Then are you going to keep me company? Si Yihan remained silent for 2 seconds before he said, Forget it. If I don't want her to hurt others, I have to sacrifice myself. Chapter 8:10. Can't get out of bed. The moment Si Yihan spoke, Yi Wanwan tossed aside 11, who was in her arms, and kicked the guard beneath her foot. Then she happily hopped over to Si Yihan. The group of Dark Team guards stood rooted to the ground and watched as their master brought the female demon away. All of them let out a long sigh of relief. We got saved. Master actually sacrificed himself in order to save us. Too moved, Si Yihan finally brought Yi Wanwan back to the bedroom once again, and laid in bed. Thankfully, Yi Wanwan was calmer this time around. After all, she made a din the entire night, and she slept soundly not long after she laid in bed. Seeing her sleeping peacefully, Si Yihan could finally heave a sigh of relief, but the fire ignited in his body couldn't be put out no matter what he did, and he was forced to have a sleepless night. The next morning, Yi Wanwan woke up as usual. Ow, pain. Yi Wanwan immediately felt the familiar aches all over her body. Why does it feel like I got beaten up the day after I drink, huh? While she was mumbling, she realized Si Yihan was fast asleep next to her. It was rare for Si Yihan to wake up later than her. Yi Wanwan didn't wake him up. She got out of bed silently and showered before heading downstairs to train. She bumped into Sui the second she stepped into the courtyard. Upon seeing Yi Wanwan, Sui nearly turned around and ran away reflexively, but thankfully he controlled himself. Cough. Good morning, Miss Wanwan. Morning, housekeeper Su. Sui glanced behind Yi Wanwan. Miss Wanwan, where is 9th Master? He's not up yet. He's still sleeping. Yi Wanwan replied. Sui. 11, Feng Xianyi and the rest of the guards who had their ears pricked up and were eavesdropping. It's so late and he's not up yet. What exactly did Miss Wanwan do to 9th Master last night? Yi Wanwan scratched her head and was confused. Why is Sui looking at me weirdly? Dazzling media in the office. Yi Wanwan had a great time drinking last night and felt refreshed and energized to get back to work. She started reading news related to Terrifying Dragon 2. Currently, this drama series was already halfway through broadcasting and Luo Chun had exploded in fame. Even though he was the supporting actor in the drama, viewership was very high whenever he appeared in an episode. In one of the climactic episodes, he even set a record for the number of viewerships during Imperial City's satellite TV's prime time. He was always one of the hottest searches online, and he never had a lack of projects or endorsements. Yi Wanwan helped him arrange a couple reputable endorsements, but she hadn't arranged any movies or drama series. She was still waiting for news from Song Jinlin. Although he was rising in fame, and it was the perfect opportunity for him to make big bucks as it would be a waste to not do anything, Yi Wanwan believed Song Jinlin's script was worth the wait. Yi Wanwan was busying herself when a knock came at the door. Please come in. Yi Ji. Shin Manju pushed the door open and entered the office nervously. Once Yi Wanwan saw her, she immediately recalled that night when she appeared at her apartment and stripped naked to try to bed her and shuddered at that thought. Cough, is anything the matter? Shin Manju looked as if she was about to cry. She bowed and said, Yi, I'm so sorry. I was rude that night. I am really not that sort of girl. I just, Yi Wanwan sighed. Tell me who told you to do it. If someone hadn't told her anything, she wouldn't have made such a drastic change within a day. Shin Manju betrayed Gongsu without hesitation. It was Gongsu, he told me that you like it. Yi Wanwan. Like what? Shin Manju. You like girls who are wilder, and he also said the wilder the better. You'd like it if I was more open and direct. Yi Wanwan. That little bastard. Chapter 8:11. It's not something you can learn, no wonder. She wondered why Shin Manju would be so open all of a sudden. So it was that bastard who was behind this. Slam. The office door was shoved open by someone. Gongsu rushed inside like a gust of wind. Minasan. Ohio. Yiji, you're finally back. I didn't catch you yesterday and finally caught you here. Did you bring me a gift? Quick, take it out. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. Gift? How about a big fat punch? Gongsu blinked. Huh? Why do you want to punch me? I was so obedient and well-behaved when you weren't around. I only caused trouble 5 or no thrice? Wow, good job, kudos to you then. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched, and she revealed a grin. She said softly, I heard you said I liked girls who are more direct and wild? The wilder, the better? Gongsu's smile stiffened, and only realized that Shin Manju was present in the office as well. He knew at that point that she had betrayed him, and he felt guilty immediately. He was so scared that he howled. Yiji. I was wrong, cries. Shin Manju finally realized she had been tricked by Gongsu and started chasing him around and beating him up. Great. Gongsu, you actually lied to me. I was screwed over by you. HHH, don't hit my face. Gongsu covered his face and scampered away like a rat. All right, that's enough, Yi Wanwan said helplessly. The two of them stopped, panting heavily. At this moment, Gongsu didn't forget to fish for some juicy gossip as he leaned over to Shin Manju and asked, Shin Manju, you really tried it? What did you do? Shin Manju wanted to strangle him to death. She gritted her teeth, stared at him and whispered, I stripped naked completely, yet Yiji didn't even react at all. It was so embarrassing. It's all your fault. Wow, so explosive. Gongsu was surprised. He didn't react at all even when she was stark naked. It's over. At first, he wanted to pull Yiji back, but didn't think Yiji would be so gay that he couldn't get any more gay. Shin Manju didn't believe in Gongsu's word anymore. She stood in front of Yi Wanwan's desk with defeat and asked, So, Yiji, exactly what kind of girls do you go for? Gongsu walked over and patted her shoulder. Don't ask anymore. It's no use even if you knew. It's not something you can learn. Shin Manju was annoyed. Get lost. How would you know that I wouldn't be able to learn it? Gongsu scanned her body. Because you're missing a body part. How are you going to learn to be a man? Yi Wanwan glared at Gongsu and hinted that it was time for him to stop before he went too far. Then she turned to Shin Manju and said, Sorry Manju, you should know that I have a girlfriend already. Shin Manju exclaimed instantly, I don't mind. Yi Wanwan was stern. But I do. Shin Manju was taken aback and her face turned red. It was very normal for people in the industry to fool around with one another, and for someone of her beauty, she had an endless stream of suitors. However, Yiji didn't want her even after she threw herself at him. She didn't think Yi Bai was still so clean and pure after being in the industry, especially considering his status. TSK annoying, why didn't I meet such a rare species earlier? Yiji. Luo Chen's voice came from the door. Luo Chen had a few little assistants following him around. He was dressed in an extremely formal suit, and had obviously come straight from an event that he didn't even have time to change. Yi Wanwan. Luo Chen, are you still busy? I was about to find you. Chapter 8:12. Who has the guts to replace the manager? The second Yi Wanwan stood up, she felt a cramp in her calf and she knitted her brows. Why does my entire body ache so badly whenever I drink? Even my legs are cramping up this time. What exactly did I do? Yi Ji, what's wrong? Luo Chen hurriedly asked. Yi Wanwan replied casually. Nothing. I might have exercised too hard. My leg is cramping up a little. Yi Ji, take a seat. Luo Chen spoke while helping Yi Wanwan sit. He then hurriedly rolled up the sleeves of his expensive suit and knelt down in front of Yi Wanwan as he massaged her calf gently. Seeing Luo Chen massaging her leg, Yi Wanwan said, Luo Chen, I'm fine, you don't have to do this. Things were very different for Luo Chen now. He was rising in fame and was one of the hottest stars who nobody even dared to approach. Everywhere he went, people respected and admired him. However, no matter what his status was, he never changed his attitude towards her, but instead, he was becoming even more respectful. Luo Chen's face was uncommonly stern. Yi Ji, sit properly. Don't move. Yi Wanwan didn't have a choice and could only sit still. Luo Chen's massage was quite professional, and not long afterward, Yi Wanwan felt her muscles becoming less tense. Next to them, Gongsu got mad when he saw the scene and he whined. Hey, asshole, asshole. Luo Chen, you're a bootlicker. This is crazy. You only know how to fight with me for attention. Yi Ji won't be fooled by your little tricks. I'll always be Yi Ji's favorite baby. Seeing Gongsu relapsing, Yi Wanwan was speechless. Gongsu was sulking when his phone got a WeChat notification. He tapped the message to take a look and got excited. Wah, Yi Ji, you're going to be promoted, eh? Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted. Promoted? Gongsu exclaimed excitedly. That's right, that's right. Tang Xinghe received insider news that the former vice president's been transferred, and you're going to be promoted to be Dazzling Media's vice president. You'll start your new post immediately. Hearing the news that she was going to be promoted, Yi Wanwan's face fell instead. It was such a major shift and they would be promoting her very soon. Yet she wasn't informed beforehand at all, and was being moved so abruptly? When Luo Chen heard that, he asked, since Yi Ji will be promoted to be the vice president, who's going to replace Yi Ji's as the director of talent recruitment? Let me ask. Gongsu picked up his phone and sent Tang Xinghe a text. A moment later, he received a reply. He heard that Kai Yongsheng, a manager from Worldwide Entertainment, Chu Hongguang's nephew, will be the one. Damn, that's so annoying. Why's he relying on his family relations? The little assistant next to Gongsu was somewhat speechless. She thought to herself, you're the one who relies on your family relations the most, alright. However, Gongsu had fallen out with his family and could no longer rely on his connections. Thankfully, he was still quite popular, and as long as he didn't cause any trouble, there shouldn't be any problems for now. Yi Wanwan thought and murmured to herself, Kai Yongsheng. It was him indeed, and he appeared sooner than she thought. TSK, it sounded really nice when they called it a promotion, but it was more like a demotion than a promotion as they seized power from her hands, and she didn't even need to think to know what that sly old fox, Chu Hongguang, was up to. He simply wanted nothing more than to take everything away from her, bit by bit. The promotion was perhaps only the beginning. Luo Chen's pupils constricted. Are you sure it's only a change in position? There won't be a change in who's managing us, right? When Gongsu heard that, he froze and said immediately, obviously that's impossible. Who has the guts to replace the manager I picked, huh? Chapter 8:13. Stealing her success. At this moment, Yi Wanwan's assistant, Shaowen, knocked on the door and entered. Yi Ji, President Yang wants you to attend a meeting. Chairman Chu is there as well. Yi Wanwan's eyes flashed a cold light. Got it, I'll be there right away. She then warned Luo Chen and Gongsu. You guys just focus on what you have to do. You don't have to worry about this at all. Gongsu. Yi Ji, don't worry. No matter who comes after you, I'll support you all the way. Yi Wanwan was helpless. Alright, just give me fewer troubles and I'll thank the heavens already. Luo Chen didn't speak. He watched Yi Wanwan's retreating figure and looked worried. In the office, top management was present and Chu Hongguang had also come over personally to announce Yi Wanwan's promotion. Congratulations, congratulations. Congratulations, Director Yi. Oh no, it should be Vice President Yi now. Congratulations, Vice President Yi. Everybody was congratulating her, but there was a deeper understanding in their eyes. This is Kai Yongsheng from Worldwide. He's also my nephew. He's young and inexperienced, so please take care of him for me, everyone. Haha, Chairman Chu, you're too modest. Congratulations, Director Kai. Chu Hongguang turned to Yuanwan. Yi Bai, it's been hard on you lately. Now that Yongsheng has joined us, you can relax a little. If you want to go on a vacation, just let me know anytime. Kai Yongsheng hurriedly said, That's right. You can leave the company to me. Yuanwan forced a smile and didn't say much aside from, Thank you, Chairman Chu. The meeting came to an end as everyone left with various thoughts of their own. Chu Hongguang asked Yuanwan to stay and spoke to her privately for a while. The talk was basically to remind her of his powers, so that she would be obedient. Downstairs in Yuanwan's office, Kai Yongsheng brought an assistant with him, a beautiful newcomer, and strutted into Yuanwan's office. Then he sat his butt down on the chair behind the desk. Where's the work schedule for today? Bring it to me. Yuanwan's assistant was in a difficult place. This, Director Kai, it's your first day of work. Shouldn't Director Yi be the one who hands the tasks over to you? Kai Yongsheng's eyes turned stern. Who's the director here, me or you? Do I need you to teach me how to work? The little assistant was so frightened that she shrunk and said helplessly, Director Yi is meeting the chief editor of Beauty magazine, Mr. Liang, later at noon. He should be arriving anytime now. Just as she was speaking, there was a knock on the door. Upon seeing that person, Kai Yongsheng stood up instantly and walked over to Liang Chong. Aya, so you're Liang Chong, the chief editor of Beauty magazine, right? It's an honor to meet you at last. Liang Chong looked at Kai Yongsheng suspiciously and asked, You are? Kai Yongsheng grinned widely. I'm the director of the talent recruitment department at Dazzling Media, Kai Yongsheng. Liang Chong glanced at the little assistant instinctively. Isn't the director of the talent recruitment? Kai Yongsheng smiled. Director Yi Bai has already been transferred. From today onwards, I'll be in charge of all the collaboration matters, so Mr. Liang, you can just liaise with me directly. Kai Yongsheng spoke while he called out to his new assistant, Xiao Chen, book a restaurant. Yes, Director Kai. Chief Editor Liang, this way please. We'll discuss while we eat. Kai Yongsheng didn't give the little assistant a chance to speak at all, and took Liang Chong away eagerly. Chapter 8:14. Freeload off his fame. The second Yi Wanwan returned, the little assistant said anxiously, Director Yi, we're in trouble. Yi Wanwan. What is it? Didn't you have an appointment with Chief Editor Liang this afternoon? In the end, the newly appointed Director Kai took him away, and even said that from today onwards, he'll be responsible for everything to do with collaboration matters. The little assistant got angrier as she spoke. Yi, this Kai Yongsheng is too much. You were obviously the one who successfully clinched the deal, and even if you transferred, you should still be the one to complete this. How could he snatch it away like that? Wouldn't all the credit go to him then? Yi Wanwan didn't show any change in her facial expression at all after hearing that the deal she worked on over the past month had been intercepted midway. She said indifferently, He has the ability to snatch it over, but does he have the ability to swallow it down? Imperial City, in a booth at a high-class restaurant. Chief Editor Liang, let me introduce you to a newbie under me, Lucy Yang. Lucy, quick, get a glass of wine for Chief Editor Liang. Beauty is the #1 fashion magazine now, and even the well-known fashion magazine, Vivi, was overtaken by it. Many people yearn to be in the magazine. Kai Yongsheng eagerly got all the beauties and newbies under him to drink with him. Everyone liked hearing praise, and it was no different for Liang Chong. He replied gleefully, Director Kai, you flatter me. Chief Editor Liang, you don't have to be so humble, I'm only speaking the truth, haha. Kai Yongsheng spoke while he hinted at the female artists with his eyes. Lucy Yang immediately caught on. She raised her glass and walked towards Liang Chong as she sat very close to him. Chief Editor Liang, cheers. After 3 rounds of drinks, Kai Yongsheng used all sorts of bootlicking to make Liang Chong happy, and he took this chance to say, "Chief Editor Liang, Lucy is the top newbie we have at Dazzling Media this year. We'll be pushing her for many projects and all resources will go to her first. She just acted in a female lead role, and will definitely rise in popularity in the future. Perhaps you could let Lucy try out for the cover of this upcoming issue." Listening up to this point, Liang Chong knitted his brows. Drinking was a separate matter, and he would never be sloppy with his work. Since he was able to reach the position of chief editor, he obviously wasn't a fool who would simply believe the words of others. The newcomers this year were like a school of carp moving down a stream. This Lucy Yang was just one of many, and although there were many resources raining down, they were still insufficient. She wasn't qualified enough to be on his magazine, and if he had known sooner that Dazzling's director was preparing to push this kind of artist to him, he wouldn't have shown up for this meal. Liang Chong said indifferently, "Director Kai, I think you might have made a mistake somewhere? Previously, I discussed this with Director Yi and agreed to let Gong Su be on the cover of the magazine. I already thought of a theme specifically for him. Yet suddenly, you're saying you want a change of artist. I'm afraid I can't go on with this contract, eh?" Kai Yongsheng coughed lightly and said, "Chief Editor Liang, don't be anxious. Of course, I wouldn't want to breach the contract and have such a drastic switch in the artist. What I meant was that you could perhaps get Lucy to appear on the cover with Gong Su. How the public perceives Gong Su is very well known, but lately, he's had a change in attitude and cultivated his moral character. He doesn't have a girlfriend at all, and there isn't any gossip circulating about him lately, so the public is extremely curious about him. Think about it. What if some gossip spread during this period? Wouldn't it elicit greater enthusiasm from the public? By then, your magazine would sell out everywhere." Kai Yongsheng's hint was already very obvious. Not only did he want to snatch Yi Wanwan's credit, but he also wanted to lower Gong Su's fame, and use Gong Su to bring his own newbie up. Chapter 8:15. To smooth cooperation. Liang Chong's eyes lit up as he listened up to this point. It seemed like Kai Yongsheng had won over his heart. Lately, their longtime rival Vivi had a tight hold on the industry, and he was under immense pressure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted an artist like Gong Su who had fame but no reputation. It would normally be degrading. However, the negotiation skills of Director Yi from Dazzling were simply too good and broke his resolve. It was just that he hadn't expected there would be a sudden change in director, and now, Kai Yongsheng was even suggesting displaying these two people together. Although the newbie didn't have enough popularity or reputation, Kai Yongsheng said Dazzling wanted to use this opportunity to get this artist out there, and by then, it would definitely drive up the sales volumes of the magazine. Anyway, he already broke his resolve for Gong Su. There wouldn't be much difference if he broke it again for the sake of sales volumes. When he saw that Liang Chong was contemplating it, Kai Yongsheng kept winking at the female artist by the side. "Chief Editor Liang, I'll perform well." Lucy Yang spoke and placed her hand on Liang Chong's thigh. Not only would she be able to drive up sales volumes, but this Kai Yongsheng had also been in the industry for some time, and he would be able to fish up some benefits for himself, so why would he be against it? Thinking up to this point, Liang Chong immediately said, "It's not against our previous agreement to have both of them on the cover." Kai Yongsheng was elated. "Chief Editor Liang, you're straightforward and decisive. Then I wish us smooth cooperation." Liang Chong. To smooth cooperation. The next morning, Yi Mufan ran to find Yi Wanwan in a huff. "Wanwan, I already said that the sly old fox, Chu Hongguang, doesn't have any good intentions. He suddenly roped Kai Yongsheng into the company to take credit from you. He's been in the company for only a day, and went around telling people that he got the cover of Beauty. Damn. Weren't you the one who negotiated for that cover? He simply went for a meal with the chief editor, and all the credit went straight to him?" Yi Mufan got angrier the more he thought about it. This guy has Chu Hongguang to back him up, and will only become more brazen in the future. It's better to just resign and leave than to stay here and tolerate him. Yi Wanwan walked over, poured a cup of tea for Yi Mufan and looked at him. "Don't rush. Now is not the time yet." Yi Mufan hurriedly said, Darn it, I almost forgot you haven't paid off the house from Chu Hongguang. How much do you need? I have some money, just take it all. No matter how much a stylist earned, it wouldn't be comparable to the income of an artist or manager. Furthermore, he hadn't worked for long, so he couldn't have saved up much. It was all his fault for fooling around so much in the past. If he started working hard earlier on, Wang wouldn't have to suffer alone. What worried him more was that if they really resigned, where could they go? It wasn't easy to start from scratch or join another company. No need for that. You're rising up yourself and will need the money for other areas. I'll have enough to pay off the house once I get my salary this month. Oh right, what's the update on the issue I told you to take care of? Yuan asked. I've been monitoring it closely. There's no news of Imperial Sky shooting that movie you mentioned. Yimu Fan replied, then he asked, puzzled. But why do you care what movie Imperial Sky is shooting? Yuan's face took on a thoughtful expression. She just wanted to make sure things went the same way as in her previous life. Chapter 8:16. Stained Integrity. She had to determine whether Imperial Sky would be shooting that script they stole off Su Lin. She had already written out this script based on her memory and registered for copyright before Imperial Sky. She had also already launched the project in secret. This was the most critical trump card she had. It would determine whether or not she could bring about a change in her fortune. If she didn't tread carefully and left dazzling without careful consideration, it would be challenging for her to make a comeback. Right now, she had to quickly pay off her debts and take full ownership of the property rights to the house. Then she had to wait for news from Imperial Sky. Yuan was in the middle of thinking when an urgent ringing came from her phone. Gong Su's assistant, Dong Zai, was heard anxiously speaking over the receiver. Yi Ji, we're in trouble. Gong Su is fighting with Kai Yongsheng right now. Yuan frowned. Kai Yongsheng? Didn't you guys go to a shooting for the cover of Beauty today? Dong Zai answered. Yes, but director Kai brought the artist under him, Lucy Yang, and even said that Lucy Yang would be on the cover with Gong Su. Gong Su wasn't unwilling, so they started fighting. Didn't expect that this Kai Yongsheng would actually steal my credit, and even bring his own artist into this to leech on our resources and Gong Su's fame. What a great plan. I'll come over right away. Yuan hung up immediately after speaking. Wan, what happened? Yimu Fan was worried. Yuan. Kai Yongsheng brought Lucy Yang and slotted her onto the cover of Beauty. Yimu Fan, what? Why's this person so absurd? Yuan. I'll go take a look. Don't worry about me and just go about with your things. Beauty magazine company building in the studio. E.g. Once he saw Yuan, Gong Su, who was arguing with Kai Yongsheng, immediately looked as if he had been defiled. Yi Ji, I'm not shooting for this magazine anymore. I want to go home. Liang Chong purposely put on a surprised expression when he saw Yuan. Director Yi. Why did you come down personally? Yuan first gave Gong Su a meaningful glance to tell him to hold his horses, then turned to Liang Chong and got straight to the point. Chief Editor Liang, if I didn't remember incorrectly, we agreed that Gong Su would be on the cover of this issue. A hint of light flashed in Liang Chong's eyes and he said casually, Director Yi, oh wait, I should call you Vice President Yi now. I haven't congratulated you on your promotion, The thing is, although I agreed to Gong Su being on the cover of this issue, I didn't mention that there wouldn't be anyone else, right? Yuan revealed a cold smile. He's actually playing the word game with me. Huh? Liang Chong continued. Furthermore, the director of talent recruitment is Mr. Kai now, and I've already discussed this with him. Even though Yuan was now the vice president, everyone knew about Kai Yongsheng's relationship with Chu Hongguang, and why Chu Hongguang brought him into Dazzling Media. Everybody from the internal departments of Dazzling to external parties was very clear on who held the most power. This vice president role was just an empty name in reality. It was simply a title. At this moment, Kai Yongsheng brought Lucy Yang over and grinned widely. Vice President Yi, just leave this small matter to me. You don't have to trouble yourself with it. Look at how compatible Gong Su is with our Lucy. They're pleasing to the eyes, and people would love to see them together. Also, the movie that our Lucy starred in has just aired. She's very popular now, and the sales volume for this issue will definitely be off the charts. Chapter 817. Explode in fury. Gong Su was so furious that he charged out. He pointed at Kai Yongsheng's nose and started yelling, "Off the charts, your father! You're leeching off my fame. Yet you still dared to make it sound so high-sounding, like I'm the one getting an advantage here. How shameless are you, huh? Let me tell you, just shoot with whoever you want. Young master will not wait upon you. Want to take advantage of me? You'll have to see if I'm willing or not." Gong Su embarrassed Kai Yongsheng in front of so many people, and his face turned ugly. He said in a low voice, "Gong Su, you still think you're the great young master of the Gong family, huh? This is such an important collaboration, and you think you can just say no? Vice President Yi, this is the kind of artist you produce?" Gong Su's expression changed. At the moment he hated the phrase, "You still think you're the great young master of the Gong family" the most. He was about to howl in anger before Yi Wanwan pressed on his shoulder, and turned to Kai Yongsheng. "It's not for outsiders to comment on the quality of artists I produce." Kai Yongsheng froze. "You." At this moment, Yi Wanwan's phone rang and the caller ID indicated that it was a call from Chu Hongguang. And it was a video call. Kai Yongsheng looked at Yi Wanwan's phone and was delighted. Yi Wanwan connected the call. Chairman Chu. In the video call, Chu Hongguang was seated on a big leather chair, and he spoke in a sincere tone. "Yi Bai, Yongsheng just joined the company and there might be some people who won't listen to him. There are many things he still needs your help with. You get what I mean, right?" As expected, he was calling to give her a warning. He even used the video call on purpose, obviously backing Kai Yongsheng in front of everyone. Kai Yongsheng stood by the side with a lofty smirk and he spoke in a helpless tone. "Chairman Chu, Vice President Yi is solely backing her artist and refusing to work with me. It's making things really hard for me." Yi Wanwan said. "Yes, Chairman Chu. I don't think we should have two people on the cover of this issue, and it's fine if you insist on this, but I have to remind Director Kai on one thing." At this moment, Kai Yongsheng felt completely emboldened and thought to himself, "Weren't you pretty gutsy just now, huh? In the end, you still have to listen to me." Yi Bai was able to gain a foothold in the company because he groomed Luo Qin. But so what if he has any skills or abilities? I don't need those things. As long as I have a strong backing, I can even bring a fool to fame. I'll wait until he produces an A-lister, then I'll take away all the resources from Yi Bai and his artists too. Then dazzling will be mine for sure. Chu Hongguang nodded. "What is it?" Kai Yongsheng spoke carelessly. "Haha, what does Vice President want to remind me about? Just speak your mind." Yi Wanwan. If Director Kai insists on having Gong Su and Lucy Yang appearing on the cover together, then Director Kai has to bear the consequences after this issue is out. Director Kai, do you have any objections to that? Consequences? What consequences could there be? This guy is just mad I took credit for his work, and wants to scare me and threaten me. Ha! As if I wouldn't be able to see through his little trick. Kai Yongsheng concealed the unhappiness in his eyes and said, "Vice President Yi, of course. I was the one who closed this deal after all. Obviously, I will be the one who deals with all the matters that follow." Yi Wanwan. "All right, since Director Kai agreed and Chairman Chu approved, I don't have any objections then." Liang Cheng listened to the conversation between Yi Wanwan, Chu Hongguang, and Kai Yongsheng and didn't disapprove at all. Instead, because he saw that Chu Hongguang was clearly backing Kai Yongsheng, he felt he ought to act in accordance with Kai Yongsheng's suggestion. After the video call ended, Kai Yongsheng turned to Gong Su triumphantly. "Gong Su, your manager already agreed to it. Are you still going to continue making a scene?" Seeing that Yi Wanwan agreed to it, Gong Su exploded. "Yi Ji, why do I have to be on the cover with this ugly freak? I'm not going to do it. The pay wouldn't even be enough to compensate me for the psychological damage." Lucy Yang's face contorted when she heard that. "Ugly, ugly freak?" The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. "This bastard's mouth is quite vicious, eh? I'll get Dong Zai to get you some candied plums after the shoot," Yi Wanwan said. "Gong Su, no. Don't think that a box of candied plums will be enough to make me do it. Is my integrity worth only a box of candied plums, huh? Who do you think I am? Yuan. 2 boxes. Gongsu. Where's the photographer? Hurry up. Stop wasting my time. Yuan. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.